to We Want Picks. Jacob and I are going to break down the entire UFC 278 fight card. We're going to give you our picks, our predictions, our bets, and our fantasy plays. And if you want some favorable lines, early bets, and even fantasy tools, make sure you become a premium member at WeWantPicks.com. We're posting bets days, weeks, sometimes months in advance, and there's already, just in the last week, some legitimate line movement on a lot of the bets that we already have up there for premium members. Get ahead of the lines. It is only $10 a month. WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. And guess what we just added? An optimizer. There is now a DraftKings optimizer. Actually, it'll be available tomorrow, which is Wednesday. Stop clapping. On Wednesday, there will be a DraftKings optimizer. This allows you to create 150 lineups, controlling your exposure, dictating who you want in your lineup, who you don't want in your lineup, and one of the most unbelievably valuable tools for anybody that does daily fantasy with DraftKings, and it is included in the $10 price. We are not raising the price. We are determined to deliver the best $10 product in the history of sports betting and the fantasy world. Everybody else charges $10 just for the ownership projections. Another $10 for an optimizer, another $20 for bets. We're giving you all of that for $10. All you need to do is
I'll be honest. I'm going to have to drop the price of my OnlyFans because that's better value than my OnlyFans is fantastic, $15 a month. This is better value than my OnlyFans. 100%. Which is saying a lot. I mean, this is saying
way
a lot.
More. Way just thicker, longer, better. WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. This is the best value in MMA. It's only $2.50 a week. Don't be a cheap bastard. And speaking of cheap bastards, I will give you $50. All you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our betting partners, and I will send you $50 as a thank you. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit, $50. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, however you want it. Jakey boy, last week was a little interesting. We actually hit some bets. We missed the obvious ones, and that's what's annoying. Meaning, we missed Bruno Silva didn't do what he was supposed to do.
We hit the obvious one, which was the lock of the week. Fantastic. Nate the Train. 7. No, it's not 7 in a row. It's 7 in a fucking row, Angelo. And we're doing fantastic. Nate the Train came through big, and I got something really special for UFC 2. I mean, this is tippy top of the top. We're going up to the top, and we're up at the top already, but we're still going up to the top, and we're almost at the top.
Well, most people put their tails between their legs last week and cowered in shame, tweeting apologies. Not us. You had 7 locks in a row. I was positive with picks, not upside down. Things went well. Not as well as they should have or could have because freaking Lucie and Bruno Silva blew a bunch of crap. But we're jumping right in to UFC 278. We're going to break it down. We have a bunch of bets for you. And opening up the UFC 278 fight card, we have Victor Altamirano taking on Daniel Da Silva. Daniel Da Silva is 11-3 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, looking for his first UFC win. Victor Altamirano is 10-2 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off a split decision loss 5 months ago. And Victor Altamirano is more of a traditional martial artist, but he has a solid MMA game. He's fast and powerful on his feet, but he's also patient and calculated. His takedown defense is not great, but he does sweep well from bottom, and he has a good enough get-up game that he's not just going to be held down for 15 minutes. He's coming off a loss to Carlos Hernandez, where he showcased his toughness and striking, but he ultimately did give up some takedowns and lost that decision. Daniel Da Silva, or if you are doing your own research, you may have to look for Daniel Lacerda. If somebody in the comment section wants to let us know what's up with that name change, that'd be helpful. But that is the same person, and he's a solid striker. He's got really good kicks, solid forward pressure. If it gets to the ground, he has really good control and pressure from top, but his takedowns are not great, so it's not really a guarantee that he'll get it there. All 11 wins and 3 losses are by stoppage, so he's very dangerous, but he is willing to put himself in harm's way to chase his stoppage. He's a legit threat both standing and on the ground. This is an interesting betting line here because Altamirano is a 2-1 favorite. It tightened up a little bit. This was actually worse, but it still tightened up. I actually think this fight should be a pick'em. I think this should be much closer to a razor-thin pick'em fight. Both guys are solid striking. Both just have okay wrestling and solid BJJ. I think De Silva is the better striker. He's obviously the more dangerous fighter overall. I wish he had better wrestling so he could force it to the ground, but I still think Daniel De Silva gets this done. And yeah, I mean, coming off a card with a whole bunch of underdogs, I'm going to open up this one picking an underdog. Even in De Silva's loss to Figueiredo, he was the one who got the takedown. So he had a little bit of success there before he ended up getting caught. Obviously, it didn't end well for him, but Victor is not Figueiredo on the ground or off his back. So I'm going underdog here. I don't love that pick. It is a close pick, but I'm liking Daniel De Silva. And Jakey boy, we do have a super chat, and it is from John Doe, the anonymous John Doe, saying, going with Aldo as lock of the week, going to sprinkle some Leon as well. Well, listen, John, we appreciate the super chat, but lock of the week is trademarked. Only Jacob can say it and use it, like Bruce Buffer with Let's Get Ready to Rumble. So,
well, it costs $4.99 to say it. So he paid his dues.
Okay, he paid
the $4.99, so he can use the lock of the week. It only lasts a week though. So next week you got to come back with the $4.99 to use it again, unfortunately. But
we appreciate you.
Yeah, and a little foreshadowing there. I know a lot of people this week for lock of the week are saying it's got to be Aldo. It's got to be Aldo. It's got to be Aldo. We'll see.
Let's talk about this fight. How about we talk about this fight, Jacob? That'd be helpful.
Absolutely, 100%. I was actually surprised that you went with the underdog here in Daniel De Silva. And Victor is still, I'm looking at it right now, live odds is minus 193. The bet I placed on this for premium members, and it's a little bit too late for you now. That's why you got to sign up, become a premium member to get those early odds that we placed Sunday and Monday before the Tuesday live stream was under 2.5 rounds. I think these boys really go after it. I like the Daniel De Silva play in this, and he is definitely the finisher of the two. And if he wins, it probably will be by finish. And I got the under 2.5 at minus 110. It is now at minus 180 for under 2.5 rounds. So it is moving. You got to become a premium member and get those early odds when we post them, because we know what the fuck is going on. But yeah, and when you watch Victor, tell me, maybe you didn't see it, but if you're gonna watch the fight and you watch Victor, he reminds me a lot, the way he moves, the way he strikes, of Tony Ferguson. The first thing that I thought of when I watched him strike was Tony Ferguson. He's not super fast, he's not super powerful, but he's just a tough dude that will just keep throwing volume, and he relies a lot on head movement. It's a lot of big head movement, almost like the Dominic Cruz type head movement, where he's just dipping and ducking. And I think that's going to be some big issues with Daniel Silva, because that dude, not only is he good in grappling, but when he throws strikes, that dude doesn't give a fuck, man. He throws big kicks and really, really powerful, precise kicks, leg kicks, head kicks, and he has no respect for his opponents, as a good thing. A lot of people don't have respect and they get caught. He has no respect for his opponents. When he walks in there, he knows he's going to win every single fight. Obviously, he hasn't won every single fight, but that's the kind of confidence that he brings into the octagon. And against a guy like Victor, who isn't super, super dangerous, I think this matchup plays out perfectly for De Silva, because he's able to move forward without having to worry about the big striking of Victor or the flashy, takedowns and being controlled on the ground. I think it's a perfect match for De Silva to do his thing, show off what he is able to do. I think it's a little bit of short notice for him, and he has gassed in the past, so that's a little bit worrisome, but I'm honestly De Silva all the way in this matchup. I don't know if he's going to be my lock of the week yet. I tend to shy away from more of the grapplers, even though I think he's the better striker as well in this matchup, but I love this matchup for De Silva.
It should be a really fun fight, and not to continue to push premium membership, but that is a perfect example. In just a few short days, those odds doubled.
Hours. Yeah,
they doubled. Yeah, they doubled. So we update the bets for premium members as we place them. So I've had bets up there for about 2 weeks for this card. When we add them as we go, we see something, they drop props on different days, right?
Slides on me. Wow, look at that.
Oh, I meant to go backwards. Okay. Yeah, it was the first day kindergarten, and my kids got me all twisted up. Anyway, odds change. Come premium member, get ahead of those odds. $7,600 to $8,600 in DraftKings Fantasy. You got to pick an underdog, right? You can't just have all favorites in your lineup. Daniel De Silva at $7,600. It's a feast or famine. You're going to get your money's worth, or he's going to put up 3 points. So
I honestly think in a card like this, where you see a ton of big favorites, minus 500, minus 400, minus 300, you got to really focus on those live underdogs. And there's a lot of underdogs that are probably going to get mauled in the matchups. De Silva's not going to get mauled in this matchup. Victor's not a super dangerous guy.
He's never been to a decision. If he loses, he's getting stopped.
Yeah, but again, man, look at Victor, the way he wins. I mean, he's not a finisher himself. That's why I say I think it's a perfect matchup. And I think that $77, he's definitely gonna be in my lineup.
Yeah, I do think as far as underdogs are concerned, he's one of the better, more live, more valuable ones. 48 strikes to 86 strikes for Monkey Knife Fight. If you don't know what Monkey Knife Fight is, it's daily fantasy. All you need to do is say more or less in the strike line, and you could triple your money. And this is total strikes, not significant strikes, which is an important differentiator here. These are two little guys. They're both busy. Daniel getting stopped and stopping worries me about that 86, but I think Daniel gets past the 48. What do you think?
I think this is kind of choose your side. If you think Victor's going to win, I think it's a more and more. If you think Daniel's going to win, I think it's probably a less. So it's kind of pick your side. So I think Daniel's going to win. I think it's a less situation.
Yeah, you're probably right. I don't like when they're this far apart. You know what I mean? I like when they're a little closer. It's a little more obvious how the fight's going to go. This is pretty far apart. I'll probably leave this alone, but if you guys know what you want to do with this line, go to weonpicks.com/MKF. They will instantly match your deposit. Take the free money. Play some of these lines. And my contacts are dry. Next up at UFC 278, we have a Aoriqileng taking on Perrin. Aoriqileng's 24-11 overall. He's only 3-2 in his last 5, and he is coming off his first UFC win. Perrin is 3-2 in his last 5 as well, looking for his first UFC win. Aoriqileng is a well-rounded guy with incredible pressure and pace. He can fight a technical fight or brawl to the bell. He uses his striking to set up takedowns, and we have seen him do a little bit of everything. He was able to get out and, he was able to out-grapple Jeff Molina. He got 3 takedowns in that fight, and that was a fight of the night. It was a loss. But then we saw him outstrike Cody Durden. That was also a loss, but he was taken down 5 times in that fight. And the point being is we've seen him outstrike people. We've seen him outgrapple people. He is coming off his first UFC win, though, with a KO over Cameron Elsay in the first round where he had a takedown and he landed 5 times the amount of strikes. He's got solid footwork, solid movement, and a very sturdy chin. Perrin is coming off a loss to Mario Batista, where he stepped up on short notice to make his UFC debut. And stepping up on short notice and making your UFC debut is something that I do factor in when I watch the tape. I look back. You can't just go by Tapology and say, oh, he lost to this guy. You got to factor those things in. Short notice is already some tricky for some guys, and then UFC debut is tricky. You put those together, that definitely needs to be considered. Stylistically, he's a well-rounded guy who's primarily looking to wrestle. He comes forward with strikes, and then he shoots. He almost never gets his first shot, so he ends up spending a lot of time against the cage and working from there. When he gets you to the ground, he's looking for ground and pound, and he isn't necessarily chasing submissions for the most part. And it's an interesting matchup because Aoriqileng is definitely the more powerful fighter, definitely the better striker. And it's not like Perrin is a stud wrestler, but Perrin can literally hold people against the cage for 25 minutes and win boring decisions. I do think Aoriqileng works off the cage and lets his hands go for his second UFC win. Right now, he's at minus 170. When I did this on Quick Picks video, he was minus 155. So it's already, minus 170. I updated these at noon today. So
minus
he went from
155 right now. Yep.
He went from minus 190 on Sunday to minus 155. So that's tightening. And frankly, if it tightens even more, I may throw a couple bucks on him because I like Aoriqileng to win this fight. I think he should be a decent favorite. I think he's a solid guy, and I think he's the better fighter here. What do you think, Shaky Boy?
Yeah, I think he's a completely different fighter now that he's at 135. I think that was the biggest difference to the way he fought because he was at 125 and obviously he dropped a couple fights. But even at 125, he was more of a decision fighter. And when you watch that last fight that he fought, it's like, how the hell does this dude have so many decisions the way that he throws strikes? Because he's a big, powerful dude at 135. I don't even know how he made 125. That makes all the difference in the world. When I watch this matchup, I think it's gonna be the difference of pressure. Whoever is able to dictate the pressure of this fight is gonna win. Because you saw Jay in his last fight. I know it was short notice against Batista, but when he was able to pressure Batista, he had some real success. But when Batista was able to flip that script and pressure him, he really didn't have an answer for that. So if the Mongolian murderer is able to pressure and put Jay on his back foot, it could be more of the same. But I think I actually like the underdog here. 2 fights in a row. Jay Perrin coming off. If you listen to the way that he trains and the people that he trains with, I think he's at Sanford MMA. He trains with the best of the best there. He's going to be ready for this fight. I understand the power and the danger that the Mongolian murderer brings to this fight. But Jay Perrin, with his wrestling, you saw the murderer have issues with Cody Durden. Right, and that was at 125. That was a 125 that was able to control him on the ground. I think that's the path to victory for Jay, and I think that it's. I don't want to say it's such an easy path to victory, but it's such an obvious path to victory. It's hard for me to ignore that in a fight like this. I think Jay comes in, shows that with a full camp he can be much more ready. And if this fight comes down to pressure, pace, and toughness, I'm going to choose Jay. Because even in that fight against Bautista, when he was getting ragdolled a little bit, he was still reversing positions. He was still fighting back short notice, and he showed some real toughness in that fight. And if this comes push to shove and comes down to toughness, you know how I love my tough dudes. Nate the Train, we showed how tough that dude is with the lock of the week. I think this could be the same thing with Jay Perrin, where he's getting beat up a little bit early, kind of flips the script on the murderer, and is able to take the second and third rounds of this fight. So I'm gonna go back-to-back dogs here, and I'm gonna choose Jay Perrin.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I agree with you with the toughness piece, and he's not necessarily just gonna roll over, but I think Corey Lang's just had some tough matchups. I think he's the overall better fighter. I think he hits harder. I think he's the more technical striker. I think he's the overall better fighter, and all he has to do is not get taken down. Right, I think you agree. All he has to do is not.
100%. Yeah, he's the more powerful guy. Yeah, everything you said was exactly right.
Yeah, and I broke down Jay Perrin. So I used to manage professional fighters, as some of you know.
Isn't it Perrin?
And I don't know. And he fought a guy
You've just completely given up on the enunciations.
I managed a guy, Regivaldo Carvalho, who fought Jay Perrin.
Wait, say that name again? Hold on. Wait, what was that?
They call him Hedgie.
I know, but say that again. That was most
Regivaldo Carvalho. He's anyway. He fought Jay Perrin a while ago. So I did all my research years ago. Watched that fight live and all of that. So I'm just comfortable with the fact that I don't think Jay Perrin's going to get Corey Lang down. Therefore, I think Corey Lang wins. Better striker, more powerful striker. I think he gets it done.
The hell was that?
I dropped something. I don't know what. Oh, my contact solution to fix my dry ass eyes. $8,500 to $7,700. I do think $8,500. If you are on my side and you agree that Corey Lang's the better fighter overall, $8,500 is not a bad price point. It's not a bad price point. It's right there, middle of the road for the most part. But if you're with Jacob, you think the underdog's live here, or he can just wrestle and hold Lang against the cage.
I wouldn't. I picked Jay Perrin. I still don't like that $7,700. I mean, the murderer is a little bit too dangerous, and he really kind of needs to get those takedowns. And even if it's takedowns, I think it's more controlled than anything. I don't love that. If it was like $7,400, I think I'd like it a little bit better. But I don't like the 77.
No, I agree with you. I think I personally like Corey Lang at this price point, but I'm not sure if he'll be in my lineup just yet. Monkey Knife Fight Strike Line, 75 to 48. I think it probably is a more situation because keep in mind it's every single strike. So if Jay is trying to hold him against the cage and trying to get those takedowns, a little pitter-patter against the cage all count. Every little tiny strike counts. What do you think of that Monkey Knife Fight Strike Line since you're ignoring me and doing the group chat?
I know. Somebody said, Angelo, who's the best fighter most known that you manage? So I just simply said, Angelo managed himself when he fought under the name Butterbean.
Anyway, Nick Newell. Done. End of question.
What Monkey Knife Fight? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I said more because
more.
It's every tiny little strike, and Jay holding him against the cage is going to get pitter-pattered. You want to take your stab at that? Go to WeWantPicks.com/MKF. And if you want to become a premium member, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. We now have a DraftKings optimizer. You can build up to 150 lineups and do all the things that an optimizer does for the same great price as $10. We're just going to keep adding features and never raise that price. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Next up, at UFC 278, we have Amir Albazi taking on Francisco Figueiredo. Amir Albazi is 14-1 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, riding a 3-fight win streak and making his return to the cage after 18 months away. Francisco Figueiredo is 13-4 overall, 3-1-1 in his last 5, coming off the submission win over Daniel De Silva. Amir Albazi is coming back after that year and a half away, and I honestly am excited for his return. I think he's a legit prospect. He's got solid grappling, solid striking, and a high pace. He has a very comfortable striking style where he is light on his toes and bounces in and out with a long jab. The fact that he is light on his toes allows him to very quickly lower his level and then just snatch up a leg for the takedown. Once he hits the ground, he's a very slick grappler, and he's not just a wrestler looking for control. He will take risks, roll for positions, and snatch things up in scrambles. Amir is very good, but long layoffs always concern me. Francisco Figueiredo is the champion's younger brother, and I've mentioned this a million times over, but I think they have a very similar fighting style, but Francisco's doing it at like the 75%, right? If his brother's 100, Francisco's doing it at 75. You think it's less than that? 30?
I think it might be like 6 less than that. Yeah.
He's an aggressive striker with pressure and power who is slick on the ground. I will say, though, one thing that he does do better than his brother, though, is he'll stick to a grappling game plan. He'll wrestle hard, he'll grapple hard, and he'll do that first, where his brother's sort of fallen in love with the striking and has a ton of success there. He's more willing to push that wrestling pace, and it shows in his stats. He averages 3 takedowns per fight with a 75% accuracy and a 92% takedown defense. And last time I broke down Francisco Figueiredo, I mentioned that people spend too much time focusing on the fact that he isn't as good as his brother. Instead of focusing on how good he actually is, I picked him to beat De Silva. He was the underdog. He beat De Silva. And while that's still a true statement, right, that people still continue to focus on that he's not his brother, I don't know if he's necessarily going to be good enough here. I think Amir is going to have the better striking, better wrestling, probably the better raw grappling as well. I like Amir to win a pretty one-sided fight. The only thing that prevented me from making Amir a parlay piece is that layoff. The layoff, I can't lay that kind of money on somebody that just hasn't fought in that long, but I think Amir absolutely gets this done. I'm very confident in him. I'm not very worried. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, the only thing that has me kind of concerned about laying money on Amir, and I actually, premium members, I did place a bet on Amir. I'm not going to spoil it here, but it's the O'Day fight, man. I started getting shakes rewatching the O'Day fight, then look at the Amir fight, and I know they're not like super similar. O'Day's more of the striker of the two, and Amir definitely is more of the wrestler of the two. But I went into that O'Day matchup thinking there's no, aside from the big knockout power, which we saw, I didn't think O'Day was going to lose that fight at all. Now I'm going into this again thinking like, there's nowhere that Figgy is better than Amir in this matchup. And then I started watching film on Amir, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy does get hit. This guy does get hit. And it's not a huge issue at 125, but we just saw O'Day just get absolutely flatlined at 125 from a big puncher. And Figgy's not like a huge big puncher, but the right shot at the right time. And I told you guys last week, O'Day does get hit. Amir does get hit, but he rolls with shots a little bit better. Oh my God, we just got the 1999. He does roll with shots a little bit better, and at 125 it shouldn't be a huge issue, but I would hope that he. This is almost like the and there's another fight like this coming up too, the Miranda Maverick fight. But this is almost like, just please, Loopy, please just wrestle. Amir, just please just wrestle. I don't want you messing around. The long layoff, you might not have your timing. Anything can happen with the one punch. Just wrestle, get him to the ground, do what you do. And the thing that might worry me a little bit is Amir doesn't really force his wrestling. He's very comfortable with his hands, with his striking. But with that said, I get flashbacks from O'Day, but Amir should have all the tools. He should dominate this matchup. He should be better everywhere than Figgy. But I'll be honest, that O'Day thing got me shook. Straight shook. But Amir's
that's bound to happen. What goes up must come down. We do have a 1999 super chat, and it is from Kiko Isaac Livingstone. It says, Angelo's being real nice today. I see you, Angelo. Still Team Jacob, though. Lock of the week. Let's go 8 in a row. Thank you. First of all, thank you very, very much.
Similar. We know our picks are similar this week, so there wasn't
so we're not
going into
fighting.
last week. There was a lot of animosity before we started recording. You guys don't know what happens during text and phone calls. There was a lot of animosity leading up to last week, so we were already hot and heavy, ready to go at it when the podcast started.
Here's a peek behind the curtain. I do the quick picks video. I am prepared a full week ahead of time. Everybody's like, "Oh, you do your video so fast. It's so fast." I'm prepared a week ahead of time. I do the graphics a week ahead of time. I do my notes a week ahead of time. I watch the fights on Saturday nights, and then the next morning on Sunday mornings, I officially record. But I've got everything, my picks, everything outlined. Sometimes I'll make small adjustments based on what I saw the night before, right? Then I record quick picks. I upload quick picks. Jacob doesn't watch it. And then Jacob starts doing his Sunday night bullshit, and I just start getting text. We both hate so-and-so, right? This person loses,
I'm trying to engage.
right?
I'm literally just trying to engage.
And then I
conversation,
just get so annoyed. I get annoyed.
You get very combative very, very quickly.
Immediately. And then I hang on
and then
to that.
I love that because I love pissing people off. So I just keep going and keep going. I was that kid in school. I never got one detention in school, but I'm that kid that just pushed it right to that point every single time, and then you back off. And then you keep pushing, and then you back off.
Well, so that's why there's no animosity this week, because we do agree on a good amount of these picks. And I'm a little too tired to be annoyed, honestly. Being annoyed takes a lot of energy out of you. Thank you very much for the super chat. $9,200 to $7,000. Not spending the $9,200. There's a lot of massive favorites on this card. A bunch of them I believe in. I think Amir wins. I think he's better pretty much everywhere. A year and a half into a layoff, Figgy's not a bum. Like I literally mentioned, people spend so much time thinking like, yo, he's not his brother. If his brother didn't exist and you could just only break down Francisco as his own person, you'd be like, he's a pretty good fighter. Like, you know what I mean? He's not trash. People just assume he's trash because his brother's so freaking good. Like, this isn't a Herbert Burns, Gilbert Burns situation.
Yeah, in my notes, I literally wrote, Figgy won't be a walk in the park for Amir. And after this weekend, I'm scared to death to say he is a lock, but I don't see anywhere that Figgy is better than Amir. So I agree. I don't think he's going to be a walk in the park, but he's still my DraftKings. You're going to
spend the $9,200.
Yeah, I just said that, asshole.
Just want to make sure you knew the price because that's a ridiculous statement.
Idiot. Clown. Hey, you're a stupid idiot.
Okay. Anyway, Monkey Knife Ice Strike line 84 to 50. Yeah, I don't know what to do with that line. As much as I want to tell you to do the line and go to the We Won't Pin, sign up.
Do lines.
I don't know what to do with that Monkey Knife Fight Strike line. What do you think, Jacob?
I think it's a more and more. I don't think Figgy's a walk in the park. I think there's a little bit more striking than people would expect, and I see this as a 3-round decision. I think it's a dominant 3-round decision, but I think it's a more and more probably.
I think it's a decision as well, but 84 is a good amount. And if there's a bunch of grappling in there, I don't see him getting to it because they're both good grapplers, so they can end up actually grappling, right? Not striking, like rolling around, working for positions and falling into that rhythm. Guys, if you want $50, $50 for free, go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, sign up, make a deposit. I'll send you $50. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, however you want it. And if you want to become a premium member, you get access to early bets, early fantasy lines. Like DraftKings, the lines stay the same throughout the week, but not Prize Picks. Those lines move. Not Monkey Knife Fight. These lines move. Sign up at WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's $10 a month. That's only $2.50 a week. And we just added a DraftKings optimizer. You're not going to get this value anywhere on planet Earth. Not for $10.
What about Uranus?
That's not Earth, you fucking idiot. Next up, at UFC 278, we have the man, AJ Fletcher, taking on Ange Loosa. AJ Fletcher, 9-1.
Sorry, you know what I just remembered? I'm pretty sure I was trying to remember today. I was like, and now that I see that picture, I'm like, he's the dude where I said that dude looks like he just gets punched in the face. AJ Fletcher's got a real punchable face.
I don't think that was AJ that you said.
You don't think it was AJ? I thought it was. The second I saw it pop up, I'm like, I think that was the dude.
I don't think it was him. Anyway, we have AJ Fletcher taking on Ange Loosa. AJ Fletcher, 9-1 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off the first loss of his career. Ange Loosa is 8-3 overall, 2-3 in his last 5, and he is alternating wins and losses. AJ Fletcher is short, jacked, and intense. He's coming off that very close loss to Matt Semmelsberger, where he landed more strikes, had more takedowns, more reversals, more control time, and scored more points in DraftKings as a loser than Matt did at the winner. Very embarrassing, bad decision in my opinion. And breaking down his film, you'll see that he's got a lot of knockouts, a lot of knockdowns, everything from head kicks to overhand rights, but he isn't a striker. He's actually a fantastic wrestler and grappler. He does an amazing job with his takedowns where he'll attack on his feet, and as soon as you start to counter, he will just drop and shoot with power and speed. I always like to compare him to Sean Shirk. Anybody who's been watching MMA pre-COVID. Most of you were COVID.
Big Sean.
Pre-COVID, Sean Shirk. Little Sean.
I had his jersey.
Oh, did you? Once he hits the ground, though, he pounds away. He's so fast that any movement from his opponents ends up being an opening for him to improve positions. Ange Loosa had a failed Contender Series bid last year, but he bounced back on the regional scene with a win over former UFC fighter John Doomsday Howard. Literally a week after that Doomsday win, he stepped up and fought Munir Lazez, and he lost that fight, but honestly, it looked like if Ange had a full camp, that he would have won that fight. Like, he looked like he just was right there, and the issue was he fought a week before. So that was actually impressive in a loss. Style-wise, he's a durable striker. He's got decent volume, solid power, and an incredible chin. He punts that jab out like crazy, and he throws nice low kicks to manage range and keep his opponents backing up. But if he does have trouble when you come at him and pressure forward. So he doesn't deal with pressure well. It's very similar to David Onama from last week. Ange Loosa is listed at having a 100% takedown defense, which is a true statement. But if you go back and watch that Jack Maddalena fight, he started strong, but he did lose a couple of those grappling exchanges, and he slowed down big time. And I see that here as well. I think AJ coming forward, blast double leg takedowns. I think he's going to get it done. Ange is very dangerous on his feet, but I think AJ has proven... Why'd you laugh?
The people in the comments are so funny, man. Knocks out Mrs. Trunchbull's son.
Anyway, Ange, he's very dangerous on his feet, but pressure can be a problem for him, and I see AJ getting it done. AJ lost to Semmelsberger because he made a couple of dopey decisions, right? Didn't do what he was supposed to do a few times. It was his UFC debut. I believe it was short notice. I just don't see any of that happening here. He got that loss out of the way, showed how competitive he is, shook those off. I think he comes out here. I put up a 1-unit money line bet on AJ Fletcher at minus 150. I put that up for premium members. It is now moved to minus 165. It was continuing to move. And Chris Riley, so this was not available a few hours ago. This must have just dropped. Anybody watching, Bet Online added a new prop bet called Most Takedowns. And in a fight, whoever gets more takedowns wins that bet. If you get one, the other person gets 0, you win the bet, even if that guy loses the fight. And if there's no takedowns or you tie, it's a draw. You get your money back. It's a push. So Chris Riley says the AJ Fletcher takedown prop bet at BetOnline is only minus 260. Literally, as you're talking, I'm going to go ahead and place that bet. If you go to weonpicks.com/bets, we have a bunch of betting partners. BetOnline is the only one that offers this. It's basically guaranteed money. Just like Jason Witt. I bet on Jason Witt. Dude got flatlined, but hey, that takedown bet cashed. And that's all I really cared about. Same exact situation here.
And I had
with
it on
AJ Fletcher.
Zalal plus money and nearly hit that, but I got my money back. So that was another situation where I got my money back even though it was plus money. So, yeah, I mean, the more I listen to Angelo, the more I realize if I held him down and rubbed my balls on his face, there's really nothing he would do. Yeah, I'm on the AJ Fletcher side. Did you even hear what I said?
I see the comment, and I heard what you said.
All right. Yeah, see, there's nothing. You're right, Didi. There's nothing he would do.
I think
you're exactly right. I'm going AJ Fletcher in this matchup, but I don't exactly love it. This was one of the ones, my last pick. I picked all my fights. I even sent it to you, and I was like, how do you feel about this fight? I actually reached out to you, which is not something I typically enjoy doing or like doing, but I got your feedback on it, and I ended up going with AJ Fletcher. But you mentioned that Matt Semmelsberger fight. I didn't love that fight. for AJ Fletcher. Obviously, he looked great first round. Those blast doubles were very powerful. He was shooting those. He got him in the second. I think even the third round as well. But in the second round, he lost position, ended up on his back with like 2 minutes left in the round. And the sense of urgency, there was zero sense of urgency to get back to his feet in that round, and he lost the round because of it. The exact same thing happened in the third round. He was able to get a takedown, Semelsberger reversed the position, and he just stayed on his back. And maybe that was a short notice, maybe that was a gas tank issue. I hope that he's fixed those issues because he is going to be my pick in this matchup. But if he can't get the takedowns in this matchup and his cardio starts failing him, Loosa looks like a pretty good underdog, because if you watch that matchup versus Lazez, again, like as you mentioned, a week notice fight. He came back, fought a week later. Lazez was trying to shoot those same type of blast doubles that AJ shoots. The exact same thing. We're just boom, and it's not cutting the corner. AJ doesn't do the Dominic Cruz talks about all the time. You got to cut the corner, you got to cut the angle. AJ just tries to run through you, slam you against the cage, and then take you down. Lazez was trying to do the exact same thing to Loosa, and Loosa had no issues defending it. He was able to get his hips under against the cage and defend those takedowns. And if he is able to do that early on in this fight, and AJ's gas tank starts failing him the way it seemed like it was failing him against Semelsberger, Loosa could have some good success on the feet in the second and the third rounds of this matchup. So, I'm on the AJ Fletcher side. He is going to be my pick. My hope is that he comes in and has maybe paces himself a little bit better, shows a little bit more gas tank, and is able to get those takedowns. But if he's shooting these blast doubles and not being able to get them early, this might be a live bet situation, because I've seen him, I don't want to say he didn't quit against Semelsberger, but to be on your back in a fight that you were winning and lose because of that, that's a red flag to me.
Yeah, I certainly, I mentioned he made a couple of bonehead decisions later in that fight. I do think he shook it off, right? UFC debut, a lot goes into that. Undefeated, I think literally getting the loss out of the way, getting the UFC fight out of the way. It's a striker versus grappler matchup here. And I think, AJ's got they're lightning fast, and he'll just keep coming with them. So I like him to get it done. I do think he gets it done. Frankly, I probably would have not done the money line bet and just put a little bit more on the takedown bet, but that wasn't available when I did my money line, and now the money line has moved in my direction. So I'm good with it, and I've officially placed that bet. AJ Fletcher, most takedowns with Bet Online. Again, go to weonpicks.com. If you use our link and you sign up with Bet Online and you hammer those takedown lines, I'll send you $50 as a thank you for supporting us and our partner. I put 2 units on that at the minus 260. What do you think of DraftKings? I like AJ Fletcher at 8,400 because I think he will get the takedowns. I think he will get the control time, and I think that's going to score well.
Yeah, he's probably my least confident favorite that I picked. Does that make sense? Of fighters that are favorites, he's definitely my least confident. I picked all my fights, and I was like almost a coin toss for this one. So I picked AJ, but I'm not going to put him in my lineup for $8,400. But I understand why you would.
I was going to say, I like him at the 8,400. We got the Monkey Knife Fight strike line 67 to 50. I think it's a more and more. I think they go at it. I think, I don't necessarily think it's a short fight. I think it's the over on rounds, and these guys are just going to go. I think this is going to look like the Matt Semelsberger fight, honestly. Lots of takedowns, aggressive, sloppy. It looks just like that. Yeah, except AJ will be a little tighter. So they'll blow past this strike line. I'm very confident in that. Go to weonpicks.com/MKF. It is daily fantasy. All you need to do is say more or less than the strike line in yellow you see on the screen. And if you're right, you can triple your money. weonpicks.com/MKF. They will instantly match your deposit. Take the deposit match and play some of these lines.
It's so funny seeing all the thank yous for Lock of the Week, which, by the way, everyone, you're welcome. 7 in a row. You're very welcome. Become a member. Become a premium member. That's all we ask.
Become a premium member.
Become a premium member.
That
is all we ask. But we remember. I don't know if Angela remember. I remember my 4-week skid and what you guys were saying. Fade of the week, loss of the week. So I appreciate the thank yous. But if we go on a skid, please still support me. Ride together, die together. Except not really. They bail on you real fast. I know they do. It's fine. I get it. But I will say, thanks. Oh, how many comments? I made $20,000. Oh, I made $1 million. Oh, 8,000, whatever the fuck. Thank you so much. I'm rich now. All right. Are you even a premium member? That's just $10. You could at least do that. WeOnPicks.com. Click become a member. Next up.
at UFC 278, we have Miranda Maverick taking on Shanna Young. Miranda Maverick is 10-4 overall, 3-2 in her last 5, coming off the submission win over Sabina Mazo. Shanna Young is 8-4 overall, 2-3 in her last 5, coming off her first UFC win. Miranda Maverick is a technical striker with solid forward pressure and takedowns. She's very strong and she uses her strength well. She averages a little more than 2 takedowns per fight and is coming off the bounce back win over Sabina Mazo, where she had 4 takedowns, 4 minutes of control time, and a second round submission. But it wasn't just her striking that looked good in that fight. She had fantastic leg kicks early, and she managed that range incredibly well. Shanna Young is a solid boxer who isn't afraid to fight in the pocket and has some decent power. She's very tough, and she doesn't stop coming forward. She's a good wrestler in her own right, but she doesn't really have takedowns in the UFC. None, in fact, and she does have some gaps in the BJJ department, but if you check out some of her regional fights, she's got some solid wrestling there. She is coming off her first UFC win over Gina Mazzani, where even though she was taken down, she was able to work back up and get the eventual KO. And the way that you beat Miranda Maverick, or at least what Erin Blanchfield, that's how she beat her, is you just pressure her. You bully her, because Miranda is such an effective bully that if you turn that and she's stuck backing up instead of pressuring forward, it can give her a little bit of a hard time. She does wear damage, meaning she'll cut, and that could affect some judges. But I just don't even think this fight stays standing long enough for that to matter. I think Miranda comes forward, works inside, gets those takedowns. She's the bully. She pressures, and she just works this fight the exact same way that she did Mazo. But likely it's even more straightforward because she's not going to have that incredible reach to deal with that she had to with Mazo. Maverick, I think, can be a parlay piece, at least when, she was minus 400 the other day. She's now ballooned up to minus 520. I don't think it's even going to stay. Yeah, exactly. And I did these graphics at noon. So I think this is just going to continue to stretch. And I think the odds are correct. I think Miranda Maverick runs through. If you watch the quick picks video on Sundays, she was a minus 400, and I said she should be in your parlays. So Miranda Maverick, we do have some bets on her. Become a premium member. Could have gotten in on those bets before the lines moved. WeOwnPicks.com. Click become a member. Have access to all of our bets early, before the lines move, before you're on the wrong side of the curve. Jakey boy, do you agree?
Yeah, I mentioned this Saturday, and it was, it was after the Loopy fight, so we were in our feelings a little bit, but I'm telling you right now, and I've said it before, but I'm sticking to my guns from now on, and you guys got to make sure I stick to my guns. You have to remember to never, ever, never, ever, ever, never, never, ever, 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 never, never, ever bet on a women's fight ever again. Never. Don't ever do it. Heavyweights, don't do it. Don't ever bet on heavyweight fight. Do not ever bet on a women's fight again. I'm telling you, don't do it. And I know Miranda Maverick should dominate this fight. I agree. She should absolutely dominate this fight. For the love of God, Miranda. Take her down. Please just take her down. Just take her down. Just please, for the love of God, Miranda, just take her down. You saw what happened last week with Loopy. You don't get the takedowns in women's MMA. Anything can happen. All of a sudden, you get down 2 rounds, and you're screwed because you're not a finisher. And as Miranda moves up in the rankings with her style, she's not really going to finish a lot of people. It's going to be a lot of just mauling people the way Loopy should have been mauling people. So, Miranda, please, for the love of everyone that's going to put money on you, please, you got to just take her down. Because Shanna knows that she's the big underdog. She will take chances in the striking. And if you start striking with this girl, her length could be an issue. You're the much better fighter. You should dominate this matchup. Take her down, maul her, get out of there with your win, and let's move on to some better competition. But yeah, this should be a Miranda play all the way, but Jesus Christ, this is like Loopy 2.0. If you do not grapple, you might lose this fight. Just take her down. Just fucking take her down. Please.
All right. Well, thanks, coach. We don't have DraftKings pricing for her yet. This fight is like newer, but it's not new enough that I'm actually shocked we don't have DraftKings pricing, because this fight was It's been on the books for a little while now, but I imagine she'll be in the 9,000 range. I think she's worth it, honestly. I think you get the takedowns, the control time, and the potential stoppage. So we'll see what her pricing looks like when that drops, but I'm pretty sure I will get that done in my DraftKings lineup.
She's 9,300.
When did they drop it?
I don't know. I'm looking at it right now. She's 9,300.
Oh, they must have, again, I did this at noon today, so they must have added her.
So, so at 9,300, it's basically your choose me Turin Albazi. So who would you rather have, Miranda or Albazi? I think I want Albazi because Lucie has scarred me for life.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. I trust it. I believe in it. I'm here for it. Monkey Knife Fight Strike Line, 76 to 61. What do you think of that?
I think that if it turns into a more and more situation, we could look at this could be a bad situation for Miranda if this turns into a more and more. I would hope that it's, if anything, a more or less because she's just completely mauling her. But hopefully a less. I think Miranda, if she gets her down early, can maybe find a finish. So I'm hoping it's a less.
I think it's probably a less as well. I do think there's a finish there. I think it looks like the Sabina Mazo fight. Gets her down, just either pounds away, submission, works from there. I think, I think, let's put it this way. Miranda Maverick has 2 losses in the UFC. One was a genuine loss, right? Erin Blanchfield, that was a genuine loss. But Erin Blanchfield is like, we're going to find out how good she really, really is.
Well, she didn't look great versus JJ.
No, but she got it done. The other loss was to JJ Aldrich, was to
Macy Barber, which was bullshit.
Barber, and that was bullshit. That was just a bad decision. Shouldn't have lost that. That was nonsense.
Number 1 bullshit.
So I think, I believe. I
believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win.
Shut up. Become a premium member. Get access to all of our bets early. And now, for the same low price of $10, which we're not going to touch, our premium membership is like the Costco hot dog. It will be $1.50 with a soda forever. Our premium membership is $10, and it will stay that way forever, regardless of what we add to the mix, because we have added
It's kind of a bold
DFS,
statement, isn't it?
It is. We have added a DFS optimizer. We now have a DraftKings optimizer available to our premium members starting Wednesday, but this is Tuesday night, so you'll have it by the time you watch this. It is available to all of our members at the exact same price. You will log in, and you will see the different menu with the optimizer, and that is there for you to use at no additional charge. WeOwnPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top and get used to us adding features, because that's what we're going to do. Next up, at UFC 278, we have Sean Woodson taking on Luis Saldana. Sean Woodson, 9-1. Overall, 4-1 in his last 5. Coming off a stoppage win 6 months ago. Luis Saldana, 16-7 overall. 4-1 in his last 5. Coming off a decision win over Bruno Souza. Sean Woodson has great boxing and was a legit boxer before he moved over to MMA. He's very long and he knows how to play that game well. I normally go on, little mini rants about looking at, I've even seen it in the comment section of this live stream. I forget what fight it was. Oh, that 5-inch reach advantage has me really worried. Listen, 90% of these fighters have no idea how to use the reach to their advantage, right? And the reality is, Sean Woodson does. He's got solid reach and he uses it really well. And that's from that boxing background. Very few fighters can do that, and he can do it. And given how good his hands are, most people are going to try to take him down. But that's not easy. He's got an 81% takedown defense. And historically, the knock on him was that he doesn't really have a ton of power. But he showcased that power in his last fight. And he actually flatlined Colin Anglin. Luis Saldana is a very versatile striker, both offensively and defensively. He likes to fight on the outside, and his ability to move out of the way, but still strike, is pretty impressive. He's got a solid striking differential of almost 5-2, which he keeps with the constant in and out range. He has issues with wrestlers, but he is making adjustments, and he has been training with Henry Cejudo. But I don't imagine he will need his defensive wrestling in this fight. And I've not been the biggest Sean Woodson fan in the past, but after his last fight, that really opened my eyes to how talented he actually is. Luis Saldana is probably the better overall mixed martial artist, but I don't think his 20% takedown accuracy is going to be enough to get this done, to get it to the ground. I think Woodson, without that threat of takedowns, it's just going to be a kickboxing match, and I think Woodson's obviously the far superior striker, so the pick is definitely Sean Woodson. But Saldana does have a clear, albeit very tough, but he does have a clear path to victory with the grappling. This is honestly kind of similar to, it's going to sound ridiculous, kind of similar to the Sean Strickland, Alex Pereira, where...
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Where one fighter was clearly the much better mixed martial artist, but the other fighter was the better striker, and they both like to strike, and we know how that ended. I think that's what happens here. Luis Saldana is the better MMA fighter, but he's going to strike, and he's going to lose to the striker. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Well, I think most of MMA, you always start on your feet, and on the feet, Sean Woodson has a severe advantage for Saldana.
Yeah, I don't even think
calling
Luis
him
is
the
going
better
to try to wrestle is my point.
Yeah, but calling Saldana the better mixed martial artist, I think, is a little bit of a clown show, Angelo, I'll be honest with you. Luis Saldana, honestly, former lock of the week. I'm 20-10 lock of the week. He was like last second replacement. I can't remember what fight dropped, and I think that was actually was that a controversial decision, the Bruno Souza fight? I think it was. I think I got a little bit lucky there, but he was a lock of the week at one point. Definitely not going to be the lock of the week in this matchup, I'll tell you that. Sean Woodson is going to be a puzzle at the 145 division because, as you mentioned, his boxing, his striking is fantastic. I love that he doesn't headhunt. A lot of his strikes almost look slow motion because his arms are just so goddamn long, and they don't look as powerful as they are, but you saw that in his last fight versus Colin Angle. You mentioned it, and he doesn't headhunt either. He was destroying Colin Angle with body shots, got him against the cage, and just ripping his body, and that was really, really hurt Colin. But as you mentioned, his takedown defense, I think his takedown defense is decent, but he's just so goddamn long at 145 that people they try to get on his hips, and all of a sudden if he gets one underhook, all of a sudden you're up on his chest, and it's like, now you can't do anything because he's so goddamn tall, and he's going to be a real problem for a lot of people that are just trying to think that they can just take him down, because unless you get really low on his legs and get him off balance, he's a problem, man. And on the feet, you mentioned just volume, just boxing will just stay on top of you with the volume. Oh my God, this is fun to watch here. Look at that.
My eyes are so dry, dude. Go ahead.
You okay, babe?
No.
Okay. That's okay. We'll get through
Continue.
this. All right. Yeah. So I think that Sean Woodson's definitely going to play. If you're Luis Saldana in this matchup, I mean, it's just got to be kicks, right? To control a boxer from moving forward. They're usually heavy on that front leg. If you Saldana, I think you just go all in the first 2 minutes, just boom, just trying to blast that front leg, and just pray to God that you just destroy that enough to where he can't move forward anymore, can't put that heavy the heavy power on his front leg with the jab and his long strikes, and just see what happens after that. But yeah, this is probably gonna be a striking matchup, and if it comes down to boxing and striking all together, I'll take Sean Woodson versus a lot of featherweights. Honestly. So I like that Sean Woodson's getting a matchup to kind of show off who he is on a main card pay-per-view, not the main card, but on a pay-per-view matchup. And I'm a big Sean Woodson guy, man. I think he gets it done.
Well, and he fears no man. So that's always good. DraftKings, $8,800 to $7,400. Listen, I like Sean Woodson. I think he wins this fight. He's coming off a beautiful stoppage win. We're going to need a stoppage win for him to be worth the $8,800. Do you think he gets it?
He's not really. I know that he got the stoppage his last fight. When you watch him strike, it's just volume. I mean, he's not going to be in my lap for $8,800. I think it's pretty dominant performance, and maybe with the strikes, occasionally you will see one of those people that comes in and scores 100 and some points with just striking, but it's pretty far in between those strikers. And no, the answer is no.
Yeah, I probably won't either, even though I'm very confident. I think he's a much better bet than a DraftKings play, right? I think minus 340 is a pretty good-looking odds for a guy with his striking ability in what will be a striking match. $8,800, I think he wins, but is he going to score enough to take up a slot? So, especially with a bunch of big favorites. So anyway, I think Sean Woodson's probably a better bet than he is a fantasy play, but $8,800, it's enough to think about. Monkey Knife Ice Strike Line one. What?
No, I was just going to say, because we talked about the most takedowns landed in a lot of fights. They also added most significant strikes, which is a little bit awkward to play sometimes. But in this matchup, Sean Woodson, he's minus 400 for most significant strikes, but that still feels pretty safe.
It
lot
does.
of volume.
The Dominic Cruz one last week was like the biggest, the freest money of all the free money.
Right.
And that exact reason, that bet cashed even though Dominic was put out. So those are great prop bets. And if you like those prop bets, again, there's not a line. A fighter doesn't need to get over a certain amount of takedowns. A fighter doesn't need to land over a certain amount of significant strikes, just more than their opponent. So anytime you get a fight like this, where somebody is a more high volume striker, the over, or the picking that fighter in the significant strike prop bet is the way to go. Or just like we talked about earlier with AJ Fletcher, Ange Lucie, AJ Fletcher is gonna get more takedowns, whether he wins the fight or not, question mark. But he's gonna get more takedowns, so that's worth the money. WeOnPicks.com/bets. We got 5 partners. BetOnline's the one partner that offers those props. They're great props. Find your spot. Throw a couple bucks at it. I think they max what your payout can be, but throw a couple bucks at it and slow and steady. If you're here every week betting money every single week, you don't need to be chasing. Slow and steady. Some of those minus 400 takedown lines are some of the best money you'll ever spend because you're going to get it back.
I would say me and you are kind of similar to the tortoise and the hare.
Okay. You're small like a rabbit.
You would be the tortoise, and I am the very majestic, quick, athletic
Lost the race hare. Congratulations. WeOnPicks.com/bets. Monkey Knife Fight Strike Line. What do you think, more or less?
More.
Probably. I don't touch men over 100. I don't like when male fighters have strike lines over 100 strikes.
I mean, old people do creep me out too. I'll tell you, those wrinkles, man, I can't do it. They smell weird.
Shit. Next up, at UFC 278, we've got Wu Yanan taking on Lucie Pudilova, or Pudilova. Yanan Wu is 13-5 overall, 1-4 in her last 5, riding a 3-fight skid. Lucie Pudilova is 13-7 overall, 4-1 in her last 5, and working on her second UFC stint. And if you check out Lucie Pudilova on Tapology, you'll see that in her last 6 fights, she's been in a promotion called Octagon, and she's had some success. But the reality is she is a UFC veteran. She's had 7 fights in the UFC, but she was on a 4-fight losing streak before being cut in 2020. She's got 5 wins in her last 6 fights and is getting a second crack at it. Style-wise, she's a powerful striker who likes to circle while throwing heavy 1-2s. She doesn't have the most volume, but she stays busy and she throws with intent. Yanan Wu is a very good Muay Thai striker who has grappling if she needs it. She moves well and has good volume. She doesn't have a ton of power, but she's got the footwork, cardio, and enough technical skills to outstrike and outdecision the unranked women in this division. And I was surprised to see that Wu Yanan wasn't cut after her last loss to Bueno Silva. And I'm surprised to see that they brought back Pudilova. She's got 5 losses in the UFC already. I don't know why they necessarily brought her back. And right now, Pudilova is the minus 130 favorite. She was the minus 150 favorite over the weekend. So that line is tightening. I think the bookies and the bettors just very snap judgment saw, oh, she's won, she's 4-1 in her last 5, and when Yanan Wu's 1-4 in her last 5, and just made a snap decision without actually looking at it. Lucie's had the lower level of competition. I just think Wu Yanan has been fighting a higher level of competition, and yes, not getting those wins, but she's a busy striker, the better grappler. Betting low-end women's MMA is a nightmare for most people, especially after this past weekend. So I'm probably not going to do it. I was actually hoping the line would move, because if Wu Yanan worked her way up to like plus 150, I actually might have bet that. But Wu is definitely the pick. I think she gets this done. But unfortunately, the line moved against me, so I'm not going to place a bet there. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, not to be too disrespectful, I don't know why the fuck this fight is on a pay-per-view card. I have no idea what this brings to the card, the matchup, the females in this matchup. It is going to be a boring, sloppy kickboxing match with not a lot happening. And this is I don't know where this lines up in the card, but this is like you need to take a nap, you need to take the dog out, you need to get something to eat, you need to do other things. This would be the fight to do it. I mean, neither one of these girls is fantastic, but he did mention Wu. I mean, Wu actually at least looks the part, right? When she's striking, she has the in and out, the side to side, the movement. She definitely looks the part. She struggled against some power, right? Bueno Silva dropped her. She definitely doesn't have to worry about the power of Lucie in this matchup. I think that's why I like her. I'm gonna take Wu in this matchup. Neither one of these girls is fantastic, but Wu with the side to side, in and out movement. I think the judges are just gonna like that a little bit more in this matchup. It's probably gonna be Lucie just kind of following her around, chasing her around. Wu in and out, hitting some strikes, missing some strikes. But if you're a judge looking at the matchup, it's probably gonna look like Wu's winning the fight. So I'll take Wu in this matchup. Don't fucking bet on women's MMA.
Yeah, I would not bet this one. If the line flexed up, I might be tempted, but that's not going to happen.
I mean, this literally should be like everyone that does picks and makes picks. This shouldn't even count as your record. Like for our picks for the week. Like if we get it right, it shouldn't count. If you get it wrong, it shouldn't count. Just watch it. Let's forget that this fight ever happened.
That's like the people in the comment section that only pick 2 fights. And they
pick
love,
every fight on your card. Oh,
yeah, no,
I'll pick
every
Amir.
single one. Or you don't just grab the biggest favorite and then find the one underdog we got wrong, and then
I went
make
6-1 last week.
Yeah, 13 fights, 6-1. Congratulations, moron. Anyway,
jackass, stupid asshole.
$7,900. I like her as an underdog. I think she gets the win.
Whoa.
79's what?
Okay, no, keep going.
What?
It sounded like you were going to put it in your lineup at $7,900.
No, $7,900.
You're like $79. I think she gets the win. I was like, whoa.
It's basically despite the fact that I think she gets the win. I like her as an underdog. $7,900 is just not worth it. I don't think there's going to be takedowns. I don't think there's going to be control time. I don't think there's going to be a stoppage. So I don't know how she's going to be worth that money. If she was $7,200, well, now we're talking. $79, not worth it. What do you think, Jakey boy? You agree?
No, thanks.
Monkey knife fight strike line 77 to 87. I think it's more and more. Like you said, I think it's just wild, like 2 windmills just swinging and
I
fighting.
don't know
and
if
going
either
at
one
it.
of these girls can land 75 punches. I think they throw, 100 and some punches, but landing them, I don't know.
Well, I think it's more and more in Monkey Knife Fight. If you want to test that out, go to weonpicks.com/MKF. You sign up. They will instantly match your deposit. Take the free money. Play some of these lines. And if you lose, who cares? It was their money. And if you win, even better. You started with house money, and now you have even more house money. weonpicks.com/MKF. Next up at UFC 278, we have the featured prelim fight. We have Leonardo Santos taking on Jared Gordon. Leonardo Santos 18-5. Overall, 3-2 in his last 5, riding a 3-fight losing streak after an incredible 8-year run without a loss. Jared Gordon 18-5 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off a submission loss just a month ago. Jared Gordon is a good wrestler with solid pressure and striking. He bounces between featherweight and lightweight, and you can see the size difference in some of those matchups. This will be his 3rd fight in a row at 155, and he does seem to have settled in. He's 1-1 at this weight class with a fantastic win over Joe Selecki and then a submission loss to Grant Dawson. He was out-grappled in both of those matchups, but in the Selecki fight, he was able to find success striking and maintain a solid striking differential of 5-3. Leonardo Santos is on the wrong side of 40, and he's coming off back-to-back losses after going 8 years without one. He's a phenomenal BJJ practitioner, a 7-time world BJJ champion. He's a technical striker, and despite looking a little bit soft, he has deceiving power in his hands, and he showcased that in his one-punch knockout over Stevie Ray a few years ago. But cardio can be an issue for him, especially at this age. So in summary, Leonardo Santos is pretty good everywhere, but he's really just starting to slow down. And it's a tricky fight because Leonardo Santos is incredibly dangerous on the ground and on his feet. Jared Gordon was taken down 7 times by Grant Dawson and 4 times by Joe Selecki. And if Santos can get him down, I imagine it's pretty close to game over and he wins that fight. But his takedown accuracy is only 29%. And with his cardio issues, and now this card will be at elevation, he's really going to need to get that done early. And that's not easy to do. So while Santos is probably the more dangerous fighter and he does have a very clear path to victory, I'm going Gordon here. I think he'll stay tough, keep the pressure, and grind out Santos. And this line has moved in Jordan's favor over the last few days. What do you think, Jackie boy?
This is another weird matchup, and I think this is actually the featured prelim, which is like, holy shit, what are we doing? What are we doing here with this matchup? I don't understand why you match up Flash Gordon against Grandpa Santos. Honestly, 42.
I think they want him to get a knockout and be done with it. Like that's.
I know, but as you mentioned, Santos is a somewhat dangerous dude. So if Santos wins this in the first round, it's like now you ruined a decent prospect in Jared Gordon. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do with Santos? You gonna have him fight Charles Oliveira next spring for the fucking title or something? It's like, I just don't understand the matchup. But it is the matchup, so we got to break it down. And I think it quite simply comes down to Leonardo Santos in the first round, right? I mean, you mentioned it. The cardio I don't think is there anymore. You can't really put a lot of onus on that cardio situation because he was just trying to put Clay Guida out, and he kept looking at the ref like, hey, are you going to stop this fight? Because it was just nonstop. I mean, it was like 3.5 straight minutes of just punching Clay Guida in the head. And anyone is going to get, not me. I mean, I'm in fantastic shape, but most people, Angela, you will get tired punching people for 3.5 minutes straight. So, he's a little bit of a pass in that situation, but he is still 42 years old. You mentioned the high elevation, which I don't think a lot of people are talking about enough for a lot of these matchups and a lot of these fighters. It's going to be an adjustment for people, especially when you're 42 years old. If you're Flash Gordon in this matchup, you got to know he's just dangerous early. So do not let him take you to the ground. If you have to just run around for the first 4.5, 5 minutes of first round, don't let this go to the ground. Avoid the big shots. I assume he's probably going to get tired and then try to take over the fight from there. Flash Gordon was, he was against Grant Dawson, that pace and pressure of Grant Dawson, because Grant Dawson is relentless. And the pace and pressure was able to get to Flash Gordon and break him late with the late submission. I don't see Santos bringing that same pace and pressure. I think he just kind of looks for the heavy shot early. And if it finds its way to the ground, he'll take advantage. I don't see him like shooting blast doubles and just relentlessly trying to grapple. So I'm Flash Gordon all the way in this matchup. Obviously, if people want to play the Santos stuff early, maybe the inside the distance decisional action, but if his cardio starts going, he's probably going to get finished as well, that being Santos.
I thought about inside the distance. We haven't done one of those, or at least I haven't done one of those in a while because I've been liking those takedown props instead. But I agree. I think he can get finished.
Yeah, if he starts going, it's going to happen. It's going to happen fast. But I'm Flash Gordon in this matchup. It's a weird matchup. It's going to be a weird feature prelim. Hopefully he does Flash Gordon being, just knocks him out early and gets the crowd hyped for the main card. But weird matchup. Hopefully Flash can avoid the early stuff.
Yeah, and listen, 7,300 to 8,900 in DraftKings. I think 8,900 might be worth it because I do think the pressure, the pace, I think it's an issue. Leonardo Santos already has some cardio issues. This will be at elevation. He's older and older every fight, obviously. And yes, Leonardo Santos is dangerous on the ground. I'm actually surprised. I was hoping that Jared Gordon would be a little more affordable because he is coming off a submission loss, but they don't give a shit.
But he was able to defend a lot of submissions leading up to that point. I mean, Grant Dawson was all over that dude. Yeah. And Grant Dawson is a very, very good fighter. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, $8,900. I think I might.
He's minus 265 now.
Oh, jeez. Dude, are you looking at Bet Online? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did.
Well, I think the prop bets dropped today. I don't know at what point, but I think when the prop bets drop, I think that's when a lot of action starts flying in. So.
It probably is because a lot of these lines have moved significantly since noon, and that is why you should become a premium member. We don't bet on every single fight, and every bet that Jacob and I share are our bets. It's what we've done with our actual money. We don't just list out a bunch of random shit like, oh, these could work. Every bet that we say we've placed. And for premium members, we put those bets as we place them on the website for you so you can get ahead of some of these lines. And we've already talked about a few fights where the lines have moved way out there. So premium members who saw it and saw it early Had access. If you wanted to tail, great. You got ahead of the curve. If not, no big deal. And I still have a few more on this card where the line has moved significantly.
Oh, yeah.
And that always makes you feel good, right?
Oh, yeah.
When you're ahead of that line,
great.
it always makes you feel good. Shut up.
Can I be honest with you, Angelo?
No, I'd prefer if you weren't.
Okay.
Perfect. Monkey Knife Ice strike line 68 to 96. I'm not going to touch it. There's too many factors here. The guy's 42 years old. Like, there's too much going on. I am not touching the strike line. You agree?
Yeah, it's a little bit weird.
Yeah. Well, yeah, become a premium member. I did the sales pitch already. You know all the things, except we also added, Jacob, did you know this? We've added a DraftKings fantasy optimizer.
Well, thanks. Well, you fucking ruined that. So
same low price of $10 a month. There's an optimizer available to you starting Wednesday. Same low price.
Do you think I look like Gary Busey?
I saw that message. I just let it go.
Well, there was a lot of talk like that on Saturday live stream. There was a lot of Gary Busey talk. And I've never been so disrespected. Ever.
I was going to say, it's never, oh, Jacob kind of looks like Ben Affleck. Oh, Jacob looks like Targaryen or whatever the guy.
They say Max Crosby, and he's a good looking dude.
It's usually some Mongoloid or some ginger is usually what you get.
Well, I hear a lot of Goonies.
Meanwhile, I lost like 3.5 pounds. I can't even go to Walmart without women hitting on me.
Guys.
I can't even go. I go to Walmart, women hit on me.
Guys.
Okay. Next up, at UFC 278, we got Tyson Pedro taking on Harry Hunsucker in what should be the co-main event of the evening. But luckily for us, it is the main card opener. Tyson Pedro is 8-3 overall, 2-3 in his last 5, coming off a knockout win after 3 years away from the cage. Harry Hunsucker, 7-5 overall, 2-3 in his last 5, coming off 2 knockout losses in a row. And Tyson Pedro is not really a name you're probably familiar with, and that's because he has one single fight since 2018. But he does have 7 fights in the UFC with some quality wins over people like Paul Craig, Khalil Roundtree, and recently Ike Villanueva a few months ago. Tyson is a pretty well-rounded guy, but he's more of a grappler than anything. Obviously, his last fight, he got the knockout, but at his core, he is a grappler. He doesn't have the best takedowns, but he has no problem charging forward to get one. If you overcommit your strikes, he'll drop down and he'll double it and work you to the ground. Once he hits the ground, he's looking to strike more than submit. But if you scramble or try to work your way out, he will snatch something up. He's coming off that first-round knockout over Ike Villanueva where he showcased his hands, and that was kind of impressive because it was after 3 full years away. Harry Hunsucker is a big, heavy-handed striker with surprising speed and a march-forward combination style. He will literally just come charging forward and throw flurries of punches. He will mix in the occasional kick, but nothing meaningful. He does have takedowns, but they aren't clean, right? He'll come forward with those flurries, get you against the cage, and then drags and trips. But Harry Hunsucker is a big boy and was a heavyweight for a good portion of his career. The odds on this fight are insane. These are insane odds. This is a low-level light heavyweight fight. And somehow, Tyson Pedro, who has one fight in like 5 years... What are you making that face for?
Because you're sounding stupid.
This is not a low-level light heavyweight fight?
One of these guys is.
Oh, I forgot. Tyson Pedro's 3 losses were to world champions.
He's a different guy.
Idiot.
What did you just say?
Minus 800 is absolutely ridiculous. It's nuts. I get it. Harry's coming off 2 very quick knockout losses in a row, but they were to Justin Tafa and Tai Tuivasa. Both of those dudes would sleep Pedro just the same. Tyson's coming off a nice KO win, but that was over Ike Villanueva, who's 38 years old and has a 500 record. I wanted to go with Harry here. I really wanted to. I just, out of spite. Literally out of pure spite for these betting odds, I wanted to go Harry.
Babe! Hey, babe! You gotta come in here. Hold on, say that again when she gets in here. Hey, come in here.
I will literally,
you gotta hear this.
I will literally sit here for an hour for you to produce a female on that screen. Go ahead.
Come here. Hey, babe.
That's what I thought. I will sit here for one full hour.
We're almost done, so she's already in the lingerie. She's in the lingerie. It's okay.
I'll give you $1,000. You get a female to show up on that screen.
I might be able to, honestly. Let me make a
You're
phone
going to
call.
Uber eat something and just pray to God you get a female delivery driver.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Anyway, the odds are crazy.
Jester, what's your...
Jester, are you a boy or a girl? The odds are crazy. I think Tyson Pedro is... I do think he wins, but I just think it's so stupid. These odds are so stupid. I will be rooting for Harry Hunsucker and gladly get this pick wrong. Dude, he was a heavyweight. He's coming down to light heavyweight. Neither one of these guys are very good. Dude still hits hard as shit. Tyson Pedro's got one fight in 5 years. Like, I'm going on Tyson Pedro here, but come on. The odds are nuts, man. Those are world champion odds. Okay.
Nah. Yeah, I mean, the UFC knows what they're doing in this matchup. This is lead the main card off, the big pay-per-view, get the crowd excited. This is a lamb to slaughter type situation. Harry Hunsucker coming down to 205. He is going to be very, very surprised at the speed and precision that Tyson Pedro possesses in the striking. And you need to be careful with chasing those KO props, because as Angel mentioned, he is a submission artist as well. He's a black belt in just about fucking every martial art there is. The guy is the real deal prospect. The UFC knows it. They're trying to build him up. They did it they put him against Ike, right? They knew what they were doing in the matchup. They knew that he was my poor dude Ike. I love Ike, but they knew what they were doing in that situation. They know what they're doing in this situation. He can win this fight anywhere he wants. I alluded to it. I didn't mention it before, but I would be careful chasing KO props, because this could be a situation where we saw with Mearshart last week, to where it was like he pretty much knocks him out, but then chases a submission. I think Tyson Pedro, if he knocks him down, I think his instincts will be to chase a submission rather than finish him on the ground. So instead of chasing KO props, maybe do like inside the distance type stuff if you're looking for better value on the minus 800. I don't know if I honestly, I wouldn't play the minus 800 as much shit as I was talking.
Nobody should.
He definitely should win this fight, and if he doesn't, I would be extremely surprised.
Dude, if I was setting these lines, I would literally have...
You know what does not go the distances on this?
What?
Take a gander.
I imagine it's a tremendous minus 1,500.
It's minus 1,000.
Yeah. If I was doing these odds, I would have Tyson Pedro as like a minus 150 favorite. I really don't think... Dude, I don't think he's that good.
Of money.
I don't think he's that good.
You would bankrupt your own casino.
I don't think he's that good. I really don't. Anyway... So you're going to spend the $9,500. You're going to spend the $9,500 in DraftKings.
How many people? I wish I could see our subscriber count before and after you make that comment.
Okay. Yeah. Before and after your beautiful girlfriend showed up on screen. Do you going to spend the $9,500 in DraftKings?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Are you?
No. Absolutely not.
Well, I bet he shows up in your lineup on Saturday.
I guess we'll see. It's not happening.
I bet he does.
Monkey Knife by Strike Line. This is an easy more. You got to do it, dude. 26 strikes to 14. You got to do it. You got to do it, dude. 26 to 14 is such a low number. That's such a low.
But Tyson, even against Ike, that dude did not. I don't know how many strike. I don't know what the strike line was, but he was just kind of stalking Ike. He did not throw a lot of strikes. I know that was his first fight back, and Harry will probably push the pressure because that dude's a wild dude. That dude's never been out of the first round ever. Never. I think as an amateur he got to the second round, but literally as a pro he's never been out of the first round. His corner has never been able to give him advice. He's never sat on a stool in his entire career. That's crazy. So he's going to push forward, and Tyson's just going to go boop, and he's going to go.
I still think it's a more. 14 is nothing. Just he could give 14 one charge across the cage. Well, you know what you should do on this fight, guys? I kind of agree with Jacob. Don't necessarily chase the KO prop bets, but Monkey Knife Fight has a daily fantasy prop game that's called Knockout Kings. You can pick any 3 fighters on the entire fight card, and if one of them wins by KO or TKO, you get paid. It's that simple. Any 3. You could actually double this fight up.
Oh my God, dude.
You're the fucking worst. You're the absolute.
If you guys are watching, if this is the first time you're watching a We Want Picks video, you stumbled upon this, I want to apologize. Angela usually is not this stupid. I'll be honest. I apologize. Usually he is much better in his breakdowns and analysis. So stick around. Make sure you still like the video. Subscribe if you're new because he's normally not like this.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for that, Jacob. Appreciate it.
Little disclaimer. I was trying to help you out. Because if somebody's watching this, they're going to be like, oh, what the hell is this?
Mm-hmm. Or they can just check the record.
They probably are looking to see if this is satire, honestly.
Yeah, and then you start calling for your dog, nothing shows up, and then they figured out that half of this is satire.
Don't call my wife a dog.
Have her come out here. I'll tell it to her face. Yeah, that's right.
She's washing her hair.
Next
goes to
up.
a different school.
Yeah, exactly. She goes to a different. She's a model.
She didn't get off the bus at the right spot today.
That's not a funny joke. Next up at UFC. That's an inside joke. Jacob's being a dick. Next up at UFC 278, we have Marcin Tybura taking on Alexander Romanov. Marcin Tybura 22-7 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off his first loss in 2 years. Alexander Romanov is 16-0, 5-0 in his last 5, coming off the destruction of Chase Sherman a few months ago. Marcin Tybura is also a very durable guy. Very durable guy. But he's a grinder. He never quits. He's busy everywhere. His striking is just okay. He's more of a punches in bunches kind of guy. And the strikes are really there just to set up his takedowns. If he gets a takedown, he'll pound on you till you quit. And he doesn't need to look for submissions. Tybura averages a little more than 1 takedown per fight, but has a low 32% accuracy. Instead of clean doubles and shots, he relies on body locks and trips to get it to the ground. Alexander Romanov is a fantastic high-caliber wrestler. He's a massive human being with incredible speed and power that he uses to take you down and pound on you. His nickname is Kong, which is fitting, and he has that Brock Lesnar style. He comes charging forward with crazy power, and he's just so athletic and so fast for his size that it's hard to stop that moving train. He's coming off a pair of very dominant wins over strikers, Jared Vanderaa and Chase Sherman. But his fight before that was a controversial decision over wrestler Juan Espino, where Romanov's holes were exposed. And when I saw this fight on paper, I saw Romanov as a minus 350 favorite. My gut was immediately hammer that, because Romanov is a freight train, and I just thought he was going to blow through Tybura. But if you take a second look and you look at it objectively, there are a few concerns, right? For one, Romanov hasn't really fought anyone who's anywhere near the top 20 of the division. Meanwhile, Marcin Tybura has 15 fights in the UFC, and he's fought people like Ben Rothwell, Sergey Spivak, Stefan Struve, Derek Lewis, Fabricio Verdum, and Andrei Arlovski, and other high-level heavyweights. The second flag is when he fought someone he couldn't take down, like Juan Espino. Alexander Romanov got taken down 4 times, in fact. 4 times he got taken down by Juan Espino. So if Marcin Tybura comes forward and uses his wrestling, he can have that same success and steal this win. With all of that being said, I still like Romanov to win this fight. I think he's too big, too fast, too athletic. Tybura can be lumbering, just like slowly plodding forward. I don't see those trip takedowns being needed. I don't think that's how he's going to get Romanov to the ground. So I like Romanov to just blast double his way to a win here. Premium members got to see that we hammered the minus 350 line on Alexander Romanov. He's already ballooned up to minus 500, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's minus 700 by fight night. He's not worth
minus
those
385
prices.
right now.
What? What
minus
kind of ridiculous movement is that? He was minus 500 at lunch.
I don't know.
That's
as you mentioned, you just mentioned, you said he's probably not good at those prices. And I think people saw that him balloon up and took that board on the other side.
I think minus 350 is spectacular value. Minus 380 is still good value. You can jump on that. After that, I'm not spending more than minus 400 because, all the reasons I mentioned and Tybura's experience. We did place that bet early. There's some juice on it. Become a premium member. WeOnPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. You get all of our bets early as shit, including we now just added a DraftKings fantasy optimizer for the same low price of $10 a month. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Is the juice worth the squeeze, Angelo? That's what you got to ask yourself a lot of times in life. Is the juice worth the squeeze? I think you broke this fight down perfectly. I placed the early money line bet on Romanov, but the reality of the situation is he can be beat. And you alluded to it, and you mentioned it, the Espino fight. Espino?
Yep.
Espino, yeah. I think I was saying it wrong in the beginning, but yeah, the Espino fight, the offensive wrestling of Espino turned that fight around, and Romanov thought he was just going to come in and dominate that fight, and he was getting in clinch situations, and Espino was just judo tossing him to the ground. I mean, literally picking him up and slamming him down, and what you saw in that fight was Romanov really got frustrated. There was a point where he got back to his feet and literally just tried to, you could see in his face like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on? And was just trying to blitz Espino and then getting taken down and tossed again. And if you're Tybura, you got to see that frustration and you got to put doubt in his mind. Anytime there's an undefeated fighter that has never experienced losses before, you have to put that doubt in their mind, and you have to do it early. If I'm Tybura, I think I just blitz forward and try to take this dude down. I know that you could maybe dance around in the striking and try to play it safe, but I think in this matchup, you have one shot, and that is to try and offensive wrestle Romanov. And I know what might happen is you blitz in, and he's just going to take you, and he's just going to flip you and throw you down. But I think that's the best shot, is try to offensive wrestle, get him on the back, get him to panic a little bit, get him frustrated, and that's when the mistakes will happen. You can capitalize on the feet when he starts pressing a little bit too much in the wrestling, in the grappling, to flip that fight around. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. He did make an appearance on the Embedded that was announced today. He showed up in Utah, I think 2 weeks early to really get acclimated with the altitude, so you really love to see that. He looked like he's in fantastic shape. When I saw him,
he looked good against Chase Sherman too.
Yeah, but I mean, even in Embedded today, I was like, holy shit, is that Romanov? He almost looked like a 205er in his face. He looked like he's really slimmed down. It'd be interesting to see. I can't wait for him to take his shirt off and really see that body and really see those cut lines and see how he's developed in the pectorals and the abdominals, see if he's still got those cute little back dimples. But you know, Romanov is still gonna be my pick in this matchup. I think he's able to get it done. But if you're Tybura, I think he's a lot more live than people realize. And I agree. If they get wide again, I don't blame people for taking a stab at Tybura.
I wouldn't spend more than minus 400. Honestly, I think I got him at minus 350, and I was like, this is good value. I still think that's good value.
Yeah, I agree.
Once you start wandering, then it's like, yeah, okay, we're going to... Keep in mind, this dude was like a minus 1,800 in his last fight. Granted, different opponents, different matchups, but, you know, he's one of the biggest favorites in the history of time, literally.
This would be one of those matchups where if he's able to just run through Tybura, it's like, okay, this guy's legit. Like, this guy's legit.
And listen, 7 other people have beaten Tybura, and almost none of them, some are, but almost none of them are as talented as Romanov. So, $7,200 and $9,000 in DraftKings. I think Romanov is maybe worth that $9,000. If you get the takedowns, you get him on top doing the King Kong bit. I think he could be worth the $9,000, and Tybura is not unfinishable. What do you think?
He's not in my lineup. I just looked at him.
Okay. And the Monkey Knife Fight strike line, 35 to 47. I think it's a more. I think there is a good amount of grappling. And keep in mind, this is every single strike, the pitter-patter while defending takedowns. If one of them gets on top, it's every single strike. So I think it could be a more. I think this is over 1.5 rounds. I think they go at it a little bit. What do you think of that strike line?
I think that line moved too. It's at minus 175 now for over 1.5, which I think is a respectable number because I agree. I think this is I think these are two talented guys, and this does go, and it could honestly be a decision. This could be a tough fight for Romanov.
Yeah, we've seen Romanov in decisions before. It's not like he's just steamrolling everybody that's ever existed. So I like the more on this Monkey Knife Fight strike line. Go to WeWantPicks.com/MK.
I got King Kong in the trunk. King Kong. You like that song?
No. WeWantPicks.com/MKF.
If you hear me before you see me, I got King Kong.
Sign up, make your deposit. They will instantly match your deposit. Take that free money. Play some of those lines. WeWantPicks.com/MKF. You've been unmuted. Okay. Next up at UFC 278, we have Jose Aldo taking on Merab Dvalishvili. Jose Aldo 31-7 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, and he is riding a 3-fight win streak. Merab Dvalishvili is 14-4 overall, 5-0 in his last 5, riding a 7-fight win streak with a total of 46 takedowns. Isn't that nuts? It's a lot of freaking takedowns. At this point,
Cowboys
everyone
butts
should
drive me
know
nuts.
exactly who Jose Aldo is. He's, in my opinion, I think he's better than Volk on the all-time list. I think Jose Aldo is the greatest 145-pound fighter of all time, at least as of now. He's a longtime champion who's good everywhere. He's got great counter-striking with technical Muay Thai, great BJJ, and very good wrestling. His leg kicks and counter-striking are a nightmare for almost everyone, but he is aging. He does have miles on him. He's much older than you read on Tapology. We've talked about that in the past. Historically, he was a leg kick machine, but he does seem to have sort of put that aside, and he's now primarily a boxer, but he's got incredible speed and timing. He's got a nice 3-fight win streak going on. He's got wins over Chito Vera, Rob Font, and Pedro Munoz. Merab is a very different matchup for Jose, though, compared to his last 3 opponents. He has great conditioning and is a non-stop chain wrestler with solid striking and power. He times his takedowns incredibly well, and even if he doesn't, it doesn't matter because there's another shot right behind it. He averages an insane 7.3 takedowns per 15 minutes, and his last loss was in 2018 to Ricky Simone, who he still took down 6 times. Merab's coming off a great win over Marlon Moraes, who is the Wish version of Jose Aldo, where he was 90% knocked out early. He was able to survive that, then he got it to the ground and got his own win.
I think it was more than 90.
Well, yeah, he was on skates, but he pushed through, and he was able to get it done. And this is a tough pick. I think, personally, this was the toughest pick on the card for me. I went back and forth a whole bunch here. Jose Aldo is a legendary striker with legendary takedown defense. Merab is an insane wrestler whose chin can get touched. If this was a few years ago and Jose was still lighting up people's legs, I think I would instantly jump on him. But I think without the leg kicks to try to slow Merab down, I think he's just going to be defending takedown after takedown and eventually lose a decision. The problem is Jose has never really lost to a wrestler before. If we go through all of Jose's losses, which are not many, Conor beat him with that 2-second punch. Max beat him with volume. Volk beat him with volume. Piotr beat him with power. Nowhere in his 27 Zuffa fights, and the newer people, Zuffa is WEC and UFC. Nowhere in his 27 fights under those 2 umbrellas was there a wrestler who was able to beat him. Frankie Edgar is the only person that has ever taken Jose Aldo down more than 1 time. And Frankie lost that fight. I do still think Merab wins this fight, though. I think he's a different animal with his takedowns. And not that they're better than anybody else's, but that's all he wants to do. That's all he wants to do. Father time comes for everybody. I think Merab gets it done. I think he's just going to be shooting. And I don't think it's a mauling by any means. I think it's a decision with Jose just sort of stuck against the cage the whole fight. So Merab's the pick, but I will be rooting for Jose Aldo big time, and I will gladly watch Merab's lights get put out to see Jose win. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, this is one of the most, and I've talked about this in the past for some breakdowns, and Aldo being the underdog in this fight is like the most disrespectful fucking shit I've ever seen in my life. This dude might literally be one of the most complete fighters the UFC has ever seen. Literally ever seen. You look at top to bottom, maybe John Jones is up there. You might look at, I guess, Nunes and Shevchenko as far as the females are up there. But I was actually thinking about it. I'm not like a UFC historian, so I don't know like the first 20 years. But as far as like the overall most well-rounded fighter, it might be Jose Aldo at the tippy top ever in the UFC. And this is just a wrestler. This is just a wrestler. Merab is not a dynamic guy that can throw in wrestling, that can throw in striking. The guy has one plan. He needs to take you down, and this dude got finished in his last fight. I know he came back and won that fight. He was finished. He was down. There was nothing more that Marlon could have done in that fight to make the ref stop that fight. He was down and out and then just blew his load. Jesus Christ, man. I cannot believe that Aldo is a dog in this fight. He's looked fantastic. I can't believe how well late in his career he was able to make a weight change and look even better almost than he was at 145, even though he was still, unbelievable at 145. But your mention of the leg kicks, I think, is going to be key here. I think he really, really, really needs to bring those leg kicks back. Those heavy, heavy leg kicks. Bring it back early. He's got to throw those front knees, uppercuts. But he's so well versed and has seen everything. I think he's going to be able to show the strikes that Merab is going to, when he on those entries, he's going to be showing those uppercuts. He's going to be showing those knees. He's going to be showing things straight up the middle to Merab to make him question if he's really going to want to go all in on these shots. And once he starts questioning, Aldo's going to be able to take advantage in the striking. If Aldo does get taken down, he can't accept guard. And I don't see Aldo as being one of those guys that's just going to pull guard, throw his legs around Merab, and try to work off his back. He's got to scramble to get back to his feet. But if he's able to do that, man, I think if he's able to show some strikes up the middle, maybe get Merab to hesitate a little bit, I think he can really take over the striking and really kind of, I don't want to say dominate this matchup, because it really only takes one good takedown for Merab to be able to control the position. But, you know, I might be biased, and I know a lot of people are saying, oh, he's old. We just saw Cruz get knocked out. We've seen a lot of these vets lately getting knocked out and finished. I got to go Aldo here. Until he proves that he really is falling off a cliff, and he definitely has not shown that lately, I got to go Aldo. He's a better fighter.
Listen, I'm not gonna disagree with a single thing you said. The only reason I'm picking Merab is because I think he's just gonna shoot a million takedowns, hold Jose against the cage, potentially get some of those takedowns, and win a decision. I think it's just literally that simple. I think, but I agree with every single thing you said. I started this off by saying I think, personally, Jose Aldo is the greatest 145-pounder ever. I think he's better. Look at who he beat and when he beat them versus, I mean, you know, Volk's beating people.
I think, in my mind, I think he's like the greatest champion, one of the greatest champions of all time. When people talk about GOATs, and obviously him losing, a couple fights, him extending his career past. Yeah. But if he would have just stopped, people would have considered him one of the GOATs.
Let's put it this way: Khabib stopped, and his wins aren't that great.
He never fought anyone.
His wins aren't that great. Jose Aldo, if he stopped, those were some phenomenal wins. No, listen, I'm not going to disagree with a single thing you said. I'm only picking Merab because I think he can win a boring wrestling decision. It's just literally that simple. So I'm not going to disagree with you. Pick your side in DraftKings. I think either one of them will score well. If Jose wins, I imagine he puts Merab's lights out. If Merab wins, he got all that control time. He got those takedowns, and he will be worth the $8,200. So pick your side. Do not touch this Monkey Knife Fight strike line or go less. Because if Jose Aldo wins, here's the logic for less. If Jose Aldo wins, he's probably going to knock out Merab, same way that Marlon Moraes almost did, and he's not going to need 74 strikes to do it. If Merab wins, it will be with the wrestling, but Jose Aldo has phenomenal wrestling, takedown defense. So it's not like Merab's just going to get him down immediately and then pitter-patter his face for a whole round and then do it again and do it again. So I don't see him getting to 106 either. You agree?
I do.
Okay. The bet that I do have on this fight is Merab with more takedowns. And all that bet is saying is that Merab is going to have more takedowns than Jose Aldo. It's not saying he's going to have more than a certain number. It's not saying he's going to win the fight. It's just saying he's going to have more takedowns in this fight than Jose Aldo. And if they both have the same amount, which could be 0, you get a refund. I've got that bet. That bet is with Bet Online. I got it at minus 600, which is very wide. Now. Yeah, so it's already moved to minus 700. To me, it's free money or a refund. Like Jose Aldo's not going to shoot a takedown, so he's not even going to get one. He's not going to get one. So if Merab gets one,
you always say
good.
Wrestle the wrestler.
Yeah, I know he's not going to do that though. So I got that at minus 600. Not great, but I hit it the minute it dropped. It opened at minus 600. If you're a premium member at WeWantPicks.com, you would have seen that bet the minute it dropped because that's when we placed it. Go to WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. You get access to all of our bets as soon as we place them, as well as exclusive fantasy content. And now we have a fantasy optimizer, a DraftKings DFS optimizer. You can build up to 150 lineups, use our insight, use your own insight, do whatever you want to do. That is included with your membership. We have added it and we have not touched the price, and we will not touch that price. $10 a month, and it is the best value in all of MMA. Which honestly is true. Like being genuine, I guess I'm always genuine, but like no radio voice aside, $10 for all of that is nuts. We're just going with the Costco model. You give them good quality shit at a good price, they'll keep coming. We'll rely on volume instead of trying to rip people off.
They'll keep coming.
Dude, go look at some of these other. There's small people that just sell DraftKings ownership, $10 a month. Small people that just do a optimizer, $10. Oh, you want my bets too? That'll be $15. Then there's the big companies charging $75. Dude, we're doing $10. You get the DraftKings ownership, the optimizer, all of our bets, early bets, round content. It's crazy. It's going to be the greatest value in MMA, and we're just going to keep adding. So whoever is a member, on your account screen, you can vote for what feature you want next. You guys overwhelmingly voted for an optimizer, and Josh and I went out and got you a fucking optimizer. WeWantPicks.com, click.
My ears are burning.
Become a member. Trying to keep the lights on here. You see how dark it is? Next up, at UFC 278, we have the co-main event of the evening. We have Paulo Costa taking on Luke Rockhold. Paulo Costa is 13-2 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, and he's coming off back-to-back losses. Luke Rockhold is 16-5 overall, 2-3 in his last 5, coming back after 3 years away. Paulo Costa, for this weight class, is a pretty massive human being with a ton of power, a ton of output, and a surprising amount of cardio for his body. He comes forward with heavy, fast punches with a relentless pace, and on average, he lands 7 significant strikes per minute, which is almost double everybody else in this division. He also has very good takedown defense at 80%, which he will need to use here, or might need to use, because Luke Rockhold is a very good wrestler. You might disagree with my statement that he has good cardio, but I encourage you to go back, watch that Yoel fight. It's clear that Paulo Costa was dog tired, but he just continues to push forward, push that pace, and doesn't quit regardless of how heavy he may be breathing. Some of you watching this, and we talked about this a few times today, some of you watching this might be newer to MMA, and you're not going to know who Luke Rockhold is. You maybe don't recognize his name, you haven't seen a fight. You're just like, holy shit, who's that handsome guy? But he's the former middleweight champion of the world. He won the belt in 2015 when he destroyed Chris Weidman for it. But then he lost it in a rematch. He already beat Michael Bisping. This was a last minute, Michael stepped up on short notice rematch. And Luke Rockhold got flatlined. That's how Michael won the belt. He got flatlined with an overhand. And Luke's a very talented wrestler who developed his hands, and that turned him into a kickboxer. So while he is a credentialed wrestler, his fighting style is a rangy striker. He was a part of American Kickboxing Academy at its peak when they had Daniel Cormier, Khabib, Luke, and Cain Velasquez. All of them are champions, or were champions, and they almost were able to get all 4 of them to become champions at the exact same time. And the issue was always Cain Velasquez and his injuries. Anyway, Luke Rockhold is a very, very good fighter. At some point, though, this sport does pass you by. Luke coming back at 38 years old, at middleweight, meaning, this is a hard weight class to be old in because people still hit hard, but they're still fast. They're still talented. It's a hard weight class to be old in. So 38 years old, coming back at middleweight after years, 3 years away and injuries. It's just so tricky to do. I will say he looks absolutely amazing in his training footage and Instagram and all. Like, he looks like he's in incredible shape.
Relax.
And I think Luke is coming back because he loves to fight, obviously. And obviously it's also how he earns a living. But coming back after 3 years away, all the things I just mentioned, and shooting straight to the top of the division to fight the number 3 guy in the world, I think it's just too much. After that layoff at this age, I think they should have give him some middle of the road, I don't know who they should have given him, but give him a middle of the road guy. Let him get that win, shake it all off, and then come back. So I think Paulo Costa wins this fight. Again, premium members had access to our bets nice and early. I got Paulo Costa at minus 265 a couple of weeks ago. He's sitting at 350 today. I imagine that'll come up. It may come back down after some people check out Luke Rockhold's training footage because he does look good. But I'm all on Paulo Costa. I placed that bet. I placed it early. If you were a premium member, you would have seen that bet early. You would have seen the line and potentially gotten this bet before that move. Become a premium member at weonpicks.com. Click become a member. Jakey boy, what do you think?
Yeah, this is going to be like the Alexander Gustafsson. I mean, you try to come back. You're a former top dude. You know, you've been knocked out, and then all of a sudden, we all know how this is going to play out. I mean, he's even growing out the beard to try to protect his chin. We saw Cody Garbrandt try to do that. Now Luke Rockhold's got the big beard. Also, TJ Dillashaw is growing a beard out to try and protect his chin. It doesn't work. Paulo Costa, I know that he is kind of I don't want to say he's the laughing stock, but he's kind of he clowns around a lot on social media. And I think a lot of people think that he doesn't really take the sport seriously because of the way that he kind of acts sometimes. And the fact that he flat out got embarrassed by Izzy. I mean, that was an awful, bad look for him. He finally got a title shot, looked completely awful, got embarrassed in that matchup. But this dude takes it serious, and he showed up this week. He says he's the lightest he's ever been coming into fight week. And they've mentioned before, leading up to fights and commentary, that nobody outworks this dude. This dude that's all he does is just train nonstop. And he mentioned the UL fight, and I'm glad he brought that up as well, because I think, if anything, if Luke wants to stand with this dude, he's going to get knocked out. If he wants to try to wrestle this dude, I don't think it's going to be possible. You saw UL try to take shots. I know UL isn't really a wrestler anymore. Obviously, he was an Olympic wrestler, right? I mean, he was a high-caliber wrestler, but he never really tried to use that effectively in MMA. But he still can wrestle, and he tried to take some good shots on Costa. And Costa started his career as a very dangerous grappler. He's a very well-versed grappler. So people that think that Luke Rockhold might be able to come in and just shoot a double and take Costa down, it's not going to happen. He's going to be able to defend those takedowns. Even if he's able to get him, if he's getting taken down, I think he can still scramble back to his feet. This is just a bad matchup. I understand, come back, get your payday. I'm sure he's still getting paid a lot because he was a former champion and this and that, but it's a Costa play all the way. I got the same minus 265 as you did, and I love that value. It's minus 350 now, and I'll ride Costa. Well, it's weird terminology there, but
what is funny is I think I saw a tweet or something that Paulo Costa said, "I am the best looking guy in MMA. And it's just an honor to fight the number 3 or number 4 guy," or something like that. Because, really? I mean, Luke Rockhold's a handsome dude. He was dating what's-her-name before she turned into a mess. The heroin addict who shaved her head. And oh, man.
Britney Spears?
No. Close. Man. Whatever. Famous singer. Whatever. I'll see the name.
Avril Lavigne?
No. Hey, that is funny because that's the name that pops up in my head, and it's obviously not Avril Lavigne. It's just freaking Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Poor girl. Or no, whoa, shouldn't say girl.
Yeah, Demi was...
Poor,
no. She's back. Anyway, when Demi was Demi, $8,700 for Paulo Costa, I think that's incredible value in DraftKings. Incredible value. There is risk here, right? Luke Rockhold could make us all look dumb as hell. He's the former champion of the world. That's something Paulo Costa couldn't do. For all we know, Luke Rockhold is working his wrestling. He is a wrestler. That's what he is. He's just got really good at striking, so he started striking. But maybe after getting knocked out a couple of times, 3 years away, maybe he's just going to turn into a wrestler again. I still think Paulo Costa gets it done. I think Paulo Costa wins this fight. $8,700 seems like incredible value, minus 265. Seemed like incredible value. Will you have him in your DraftKings lineup?
Yes.
Okay.
And that didn't sound like a confident yes, but that was more of like a hell yes. Yeah, he's definitely in my lineup.
I actually do like the more and more in the Monkey Knife Fight strike line. I do not think Paulo Costa is just going to sleep Luke Rockhold in a minute. 28 strikes seems pretty low. Luke Rockhold's very good. Like, he's a very good fighter. I'm not trying to pretend he's not good. He should not have lost to Michael Bisping. Like, that was just, it was literally a lucky punch. That's all that was.
He's had a few lucky punches, hadn't he?
He destroyed Chris Weidman when he was good. He's destroyed a bunch of people, but he's old, slower, weaker. But he
has passed him by.
I mean, that's literally how I opened the end of this breakdown here. At some point, the sport passed you by.
It was a great line there.
That's what I do. Guys, weonpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our betting partners, make a deposit, and I'll send you $50 as a thank you. WeOwnPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. I'll send you $50, however you want it. Next up, at UFC 278, we have the main event of the evening. We have Kamaru Usman taking on Leon Edwards in a rematch. Kamaru Usman's 20-1 overall, 5-0 in his last 5 on a 19-fight win streak. Leon Edwards is 19-3 overall, riding a 9-fight win streak, and his last loss was in 2015 to Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman is on the fast track to becoming the best welterweight of all time. I still think it's GSP right now. A couple more fights like this, and all of a sudden, it can be him. He's an accomplished wrestler, but he doesn't need to use it. His striking is technical, and as we saw in his knockout over Masvidal, he now has some power too. We've seen him come back after getting dropped against Burns. We've seen him out-wrestle opponents. We've seen him in wars. We've seen him knock people out. At this point, Kamaru is incredibly dangerous, and we aren't far off from discussing, is he the best to ever do it? His lone loss was in 2013 in his second pro fight. Leon Edwards is a very well-rounded fighter who unfortunately became a household name after George Masvidal slapped him in the mouth backstage at UFC London a few years ago. He's very nice body kicks, very nice boxing, nice wrestling. He averages a little more than 1 takedown per fight, and he was able to take down Brian Barberena 3 times, Gunnar Nelson twice, and Rafael Dos Anjos 3 times. He's good everywhere, and he has great cardio and solid fight IQ. He's coming off a pair of interesting fights, though. The first was the eye poke to Bilal, where he won that first round, and then an unintentional eye poke ended the fight in the second. More recently, he's coming off that win over Nate Diaz, which it was supposed to be on paper. Oh, this is going to be a 5-round striking match. But Nate landed 50 more strikes than Leon did. And Leon, late in that fight, was on the ropes. He was not looking too good. And if Nate poured it on, might have been able to get a finish there. And Leon worked in 4 takedowns because I just feel like he didn't think the striking was going his way. And I honestly do not think we need to overcomplicate this. Leon Edwards is very good, but he's not good enough. Usman already beat Leon. He already beat him with 6 takedowns and 11 minutes of control time. I don't even think, and you guys already ripped me for saying this, I don't even think Kamaru's going to need his wrestling in this fight. I think he can win this fight anywhere he wants to. I think Kamaru is the very clear pick for me. And as I've been saying all night, if you were a premium member, you would have seen a week ago that I put a minus 335 money line bet on Kamaru Usman. That's flexing up. It is going to continue to flex up. If you jumped on that line and he wins this fight, that line movement alone pays for, 6 months, a year's worth of membership. So become a premium member at WeOwnPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. It's $10 a month. That's $2.50 a week. Don't be such a cheap bastard. Jacob, before I hand it over, everybody who's saying Leon is going to win, not everybody, a good amount of people who are saying Leon's going to win, and Leon himself, would you like to know their logic for how he's going to win? Not, Leon's faster. Leon's this. None of that. It's, and this is a quote from Leon, Kamaru Usman's body's breaking down, so now's the time to beat him. I'm going to beat him. 6 strategy, bro. 6 strategy. You're hoping the guy's knees aren't good. Why don't you tell us why you think Leon Edwards sucks?
Yeah, if you guys know me and you guys have followed me on Twitter for a while, even before this fight was announced, I've been screaming from the mountaintops that Leon Edwards is the guy to beat Usman. I've been saying this forever, that he's the guy to beat Usman. And I'll tell you, and I saw on the embedded comments, I think it was today, someone had a great reference that this feels like when Usman fought Woodley, right? When Woodley was going through his reign as a champion, he looked fantastic. I don't want to say he looked unbeatable, but he looked very, very good. He had some close fights versus Stephen Thompson, much like Usman had some close fights versus Colby. But, as far as leading up to that fight, I think Woodley was like a minus 250, minus 300 favorite, something like that going into that fight. And all of a sudden, this new up-and-comer, hungry up-and-comer beats the shit out of Tyron Woodley. Like, holy shit, who is this guy? Nobody saw it coming. This feels like the same type of situation. When I watch these guys fight, and I understand they fought before. I don't give a shit about their fight before. Leon Edwards couldn't defend a takedown. He got taken down. That's what happens when he can't defend takedowns. If you see his wrestling and takedown defense now, it looks great. Usman, when he's fought people, it's been Colby Covington, no punching power. He doesn't have to worry about the punching power of Colby Covington. And Colby touched him up a few times, clipped him a few times. Didn't drop him, anything crazy, but was able to touch him up, okay? But he's able to work through the striking of Colby Covington because he doesn't have to worry about the big power, right? He fights Jorge Masvidal. Same thing. Jorge Masvidal is not a big KO guy. Obviously, he's had some KOs and stuff, but he's more of a volume guy, right? Volume, boom, 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 boom. Pillow-type puncher, right? The only type of guy that he's fought with some decent power is a 155 jiu-jitsu practitioner in Gilbert Burns who dropped him. And obviously he recovered. I mean, he looked like a champion, recovered like a champion, was able to recover in that matchup and find the knockout on his own. But I'm telling you right now that if Leon Edwards is able to touch Usman the way that Colby was, the way that Jorge was at times, especially in that first matchup on 10 days notice, whatever it was, and the way that Gilbert was, it is going to be big issues for Usman. If Usman is trying to stand with this dude at this level, at this moment in Leon Edwards' career, it is going to be a big issue. You say you don't think he needs the wrestling. I guarantee the first thing that Usman does in this matchup is try to shoot a takedown. And it is going to be lay and pray. I don't think he's going to be able to get the takedown, but I think it's going to be Usman trying to hold Leon Edwards against the cage like he did against Jorge Masvidal in that first matchup and just hold him and hold him and hold him because he knows, and Leon knows, that he cannot fucking strike with this dude at this moment in Leon Edwards' career. And I know I've gotten the memes of, oh, Nate almost knocked him out. Leon Edwards was dominating 24 minutes of that matchup, and Nate is a striker.
He was dominating. He was outstruck by 50.
You're not going to fucking interrupt. You're not going to fucking
outstruck by 50 strikes, and he wrestled.
Nate is a striker and was able to find the one punch. Gilbert is a 155 jiu-jitsu practitioner and was able to find the same strike. So don't fucking send me the meme of Nate touching Leon when a 155 jiu-jitsu practitioner was able to find the same strike on your fucking champion. So I'm telling you right now, and I've been screaming it for months, that it's going to be an new situation. Unless Usman just lays on him against the cage for 25 minutes, Leon Edwards is going to knock this dude out. It is going to be new, and I can't wait. I've never, the one time that I've been so sure about this was Alge versus Petr Yan, and everyone called me a fucking clown. Everyone ragged on me the entire week leading up to that fight. I knew that Alge was just going to backpack that dude. I know that Usman is not going to be able to get the takedowns, and he cannot strike with this dude. And he's going to try and shoot those takedowns. He's not going to be able to get him. And Leon Edwards is going to win this fight.
Yeah, I completely disagree. This is like when Amanda Nunes just did her rematch. And I was like, you're going to get the greatest of all time at these odds. You're stupid for not doing it. We're in that same boat, essentially. We're in that same boat. Kamaru Usman's one of the best to ever do it. And I have been a Kamaru Usman hater for a very long time. A very long time. People in the live chat, oh, he loves him because he's a wrestler. No, I've hated. Go back and watch the breakdowns. I've been picked against him a few times. I have not been. His whole cringe. He's very cringy. Very cringy. Not a fan of the personality. But I think Leon Edwards is overrated as hell. Overrated as hell, man. Dude, the Nate fight, you say he dominated Nate Diaz. He was literally outstruck by 50 strikes. Outstruck by 50 strikes, and he got 4 takedowns, which means he spent a good amount of time in the fight on top and still somehow managed to get punched in the face 50 more times than he hit Nate.
That's what Nate
and
does.
Nate had him on ice skates.
Nate's going to outstrike most people. That's what he does. He just boom, 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 boom. Even when he's backing up, it's boom, 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 boom.
That's
if
the
Usman
beauty.
tries to stand and throws that little short, sharp jab, it's going to be big. I guarantee that Usman is diving for leg. I guarantee Usman is diving.
I can't wait to hear your
excuse.
Oh, well, he wrestled. Well, cool excuse. Listen.
I literally said he can win by laying and praying for 25 minutes. If he tries to stand with this dude, he's going to get knocked the fuck out. If the biggest thing, you love Bilal. I mean, you love Bilal Muhammad. Leon Edwards was, before that eye poke, was absolutely destroying Bilal Muhammad. I'm not saying that Bilal Muhammad is on the level of Usman.
Muhammad. I just recognize that Vicente Luque can't defend the takedown.
But Leon Edwards was going to put on a fucking clinic against Bilal Muhammad. And that's like the next dude that everyone just absolutely loves as a wrestler and whatever. So I'm just saying.
Bilal Muhammad
I've been screaming that for a
smoked
year
in this matchup. Absolutely. That's the beauty of this sport. We will find out exactly what happens in just a couple of days. That's the beauty of this sport. Hopefully, no freak body part breaks, and we get to see the whole fight. I'm assuming you're going to spend the 9,100 or the 7,100. I will spend the 9,100. I already told you about my bet, minus 335. That's ballooned up. It'll continue to balloon up. Premium members, whether you agree with my pick or not, whether you agree with my bet or not, the logic remains. Jacob and I place our bets, our actual bets, not fake bets, not ideas. Oh, this could be good, that could be. Our actual bets that we place, they are available to premium members the day that we place them. And we are ahead of most of these curves. Hold on. Monkey Knife Fight Strike Line, 109 to 64. What do you think?
Just to put, we talk about the bets. I always put my money where my mouth is. I have money line bets on Leon at plus 315, and I have inside the distance decisional action as well on Leon Edwards. And they're both going to hit.
Inside the distance decisional action is probably decent play there because Leon's tough. I like everybody always goes to an extreme. Like you can't pick one fighter to win without everybody accusing you of hating the like. Leon Edwards is a very good fighter, and if you listen to my breakdown,
I mean, literally, the hate I'm going to get this week is nothing compared to the hate I got for Aljo. Everyone, there's no Aljo's got no chance.
Dude, it's literally the exact opposite.
You got no chance. You got no chance. Aljo's got no chance. And I fucking nailed that pick.
Dude, it's literally the exact opposite. Leon Edwards is the trendy underdog pick. The comment section is yelling at me, not you, because that's what people do. So we'll see what happens. This feels very similar to the Joel Alvarez bullshit. We have a $2 super chat from J-Way. Jacob, my man. Clap, arm flex, arm flex. Thank you, J-Way. Jacob sucks, but thank you. Any parting words for the people? You didn't answer the Monkey Knife Fight Strike Line.
Don't give a fuck. Tune in Thursday. We're going to go live. No eyebrow Thursday. I will be live. We're going to open up cards. So we'll break down the fight. It'll be like the Saturday live stream for the first hour, and then we'll open up some cards. It'll be a lot of fun. I got a second camera, so if you were tuned in last Thursday, it'll be a lot better. This time it'll be actually some production value. And tune in Thursday because I don't think I'm going to go live Saturday for the fights because it's...
Yeah, because it's a pay-per-view. You're going to come over here. I get it.
Right.
I might
and
go
Lock of the Week
Saturday.
video tomorrow. I don't know who the Lock of the Week is yet. I know I did a lot of Leon Edwards stuff here, but we got a lot of underdogs that not a lot of them, but there's a few that I like. So tune in tomorrow for the Lock of the Week video. No eyebrows Thursday, and can't wait to make our money back from last week. I feel good about this card. We're pretty aligned. I know we kind of argued that last fight, but we're pretty aligned for this card, and I feel good about it.
I mean, that's literally what makes this sport so fun.
Right.
Fucking getting so mad at you,
well,
and then watching it in real life.
For your doctor. Your cardiologist doesn't like it, but...
Anyway, guys, do all the things. WeWantPicks.com to become a premium member. I know you've heard us push that over and over. The reality is it is only $10, and I am dead set on making it the best $10 value in MMA. Dead set on it. I have looked at what other people offer. Nobody offers what we offer for $10. Literally nobody. Everybody's got pricing tiers and catches and caveats. Not here. It's $10, and we're just going to continue to add to it and make it the best product offering in the history of $10. If you want $50 free, that's 5 months of membership. Go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our betting partners. Make a deposit. I'll send you $50. Join our Discord. That's 100% free. Just join the Discord, share your thoughts, yak it up with everybody, like the stream, do all those things. And before we go, MMA fan who
and like the stream too, real quick, if you guys don't mind, please. If you just like the stream real quick, we'd appreciate that.
MMA fan has been trashing me in the comments. Oh, Kamaru having good striking is the worst take I've heard. But thank you for the $2, and I 100% agree with you here. Cadinez and Silva losing made 0 sense. It did not make sense.
The thing they mentioned a few times, but I think really affected a lot of fighters in that matchup was apparently that arena was like hot as hell. And I think and Loopy posted something. loopy. She was like, I don't regret taking short. There was a quote today that came out. It was like,
wasn't
I
a
don't
short
regret
notice fight.
taking short notice, but next time I hope to have a full camp. It's like, get the fuck out of here. She got that takedown so easily. And Angela threatened like this little baby guillotine, and then she was like, "Oh my god, I shouldn't shoot another takedown." Like that takedown she got, where she's like, "Whoop," took her down, and she like grabbed her neck a little bit. Fucking loopy, man.
I agree. Listen, I'm with you. Adios, people. Thank you for hanging out. Do all the things, and we'll see you later this week for even more content.